It all began as a 10-week chase to the championship. 12 drivers, 10 races to prove their worth, just one trophy. It's now time to turn it up a notch. Halfway to the end game, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series heads to the biggest, the fastest, and arguably most unpredictable track on the schedule, Talladega Superspeedway. In years past, this has been where championships turn on a dime, where once sure things turn into long shots, and lucky breaks and near misses become clinchers. Today, not only will a driver need a bit of luck, he'll also need a teammate. Because just like no one person can win a championship, no one driver can win this race. Not if he tries going it alone. And we welcome you to Talladega Superspeedway and NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Countdown presented by Napa. When it comes to this particular track, you never know what you are going to see. From unpredictable winners who sometimes win by mere inches to the fans, 100,000 of them, and they've come out in full force to see how this wild card race will affect the championship. Kyle Busch comes into this day fourth in points, but he's got some work to do. He is the worst qualifying chaser. Today he starts 34th. Matt Kenseth was the winner a week ago, and his average finish the first 5 races of the chase has been a 7.4, though Kenseth has never won at this track. Kevin Harvick has one Talladega win. It came in the spring of 2010, and in his last 3 races here, Harvick has finished no worse than 5th. And then there is the points leader, Carl Edwards. He's another one of those never won here drivers, and his average finish at Talladega, 20.9. The chase for the Sprint Cup trophy went through a bit of a shakeup under the lights in Charlotte. Matt Kenseth put his name out there as a serious title contender. Not to say, though, that it was easy. There was a point early on when a couple of clashing lap cars could have taken him out. They didn't. And then late in the race, it was all about beating the 18 car and Kyle Busch. He did that. Kenseth led 46 laps en route to his 3rd win of the season. And Kenseth gained 2 spots in the points. He is now 3rd behind his Roush Fenway teammate, Carl Edwards, who continues to be the points leader. The biggest jump last week, however, goes to Kyle Busch, who jumped to 4th, and the biggest loser was the driver who's won the past 5 Sprint Cup Series trophies. Jimmie Johnson is now 8th in points and 35 back. So many emotions before drivers climb into their cars at this particular track. It all gets put aside, though, for 188 laps, 500 miles of focus, and that's what we'll see next. Back at Talladega Superspeedway, the chase drivers have a lot on the line today. Matt Kenseth, the winner of a week ago, starts 11th. He's just a couple spots ahead of Kevin Harvick. In fact, 9 of the 12 chasers start between 5th and 16th. The best qualifying chaser is Jimmie Johnson. He starts 2nd and is looking to make up for a bit of lost ground. In Charlotte a week ago, Johnson battling for 7th when he took a hard hit into the wall and in the points. This incident dropped him to 8th in points. He's now 35 back from leader Carl Edwards. And look at the ups and downs of Johnson's first 5 chase races. Compare that to the consistency of Carl Edwards or the white line, Kevin Harvick. And as we go upstairs to Alan Bestwick, consistency today may be a bit hard to maintain.
Yeah, Nicole, and a driver's performance during the day might look like that Jimmie Johnson graph up and down. With Talladega winning driver Dale Jarrett and Talladega winning crew chief Andy Petree, so today's the wild card race, right? What's that mean?
Well, with all due respect to the crew chiefs who normally have a very difficult job, this is about the drivers. Drivers and great drivers love to be in control. Today, they're not in control so much. They know that anything could possibly happen here, usually does, and we could see any scenario unfold. They just don't have the control, the drivability, the power to get away, make everything happen on their own. They're relying on someone else all day long to give themselves an opportunity. They don't really like that scenario, but that's what they have to work with. The main thing they want to be doing is going forward when they see the checkered flag coming out.
It's frustrating for a crew chief, too, because we like to be in control of things, and today there's not going to be a lot of that. Strategy and track position, all that's kind of out the window. The crew chiefs are going to have to manage a lot different kind of race today in the way that they position their teams to be in the right place at the right time. But, that 2-tire, 4-tire calls are not going to be very stressful for the crew chiefs today.
So drivers, in order to succeed today, have to have a partner in the draft. In watching practice and talking to people down in the garage area, here are some of the combinations we expect that we'll see throughout the day. And we will see a little bit of politics in the draft, too. Hearing some Ford teams have been told they should be drafting with Fords only today. We'll see how that all unplays as 500 miles gets underway. Getting set to go with 500 miles at the Talladega Superspeedway. A look at the starting lineup coming across the top of your screen. Field headed by Mark Martin, two-time winner here, his 51st career pole. Mark going to lead this field to the green flag momentarily with the 5-time consecutive champ Jimmie Johnson alongside. Now, the man that's going to be paired with Johnson in the draft, or at least that's the plan for most of the day, is starting in row 3. He's our in-race reporter, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and the subject of our Gillette Pro Glide profile. Junior's first few years in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, he was almost unbeatable here. Recently, not so much, but remember, he was the one that pushed Johnson to the win in April. Skeptic or believer about today in a Junior win?
I'm a little skeptical if he's going to be the pusher.
He's going to be the one pushing Jimmie Johnson.
I'm skeptical he can get to the checker flag first.
All right, well, Junior rolling off on the pace laps, as you can see, and let's talk to our in-race reporter.
Hey, Junior, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
Sure do.
Hey, man, our first question is mailbag, and it comes from Jim in York, Pennsylvania. He asks, when you're the second car in a drafting pair, how much firmer are you gripping the wheel, and how much more tense are you than normal?
Well, you're pretty tense. You can't really see the spoilers on the car as wide as they've ever been, or about as tall as they've ever been. So you just kind of hoping the guy you're pushing is telling you what's happening and where he's going, so you can kind of be ready. But it's a lot harder, actually, pushing than it is being out front.
All right, let's switch roles there. Talk about the guy in front, which I know you would like to be, but who makes that decision when you're paired up, when it gets time to win this race at the end? Who decides who's going to be in front and who's going to be pushing?
Well, between me and Jimmy, we just talked it out and decided what was the most productive package in that particular race, and we make that choice and go with it. You gotta, unfortunately, you gotta make a lot of sacrifices when you're working with somebody all day long. The way this package works and the way you got to work together, you make a lot of sacrifices, and somebody's got to. If you're trying to win a race, one of you's got to run second or whatever. So that's just the way it is.
All right, man. You have a great, safe day out there, and we'll talk to you later on. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Steve Letarte.
Thank you.
Hey, Steve, Andy Petrie in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you good, Andy.
Hey, Steve, Dale's up here saying it's like a day off for a crew chief making decisions down there, but really, how do you manage this race to put that 88 team in position to win?
Well, Andy, as far as the car goes, it kind of is a day off. There's not a lot of adjustments we'll make today during pit stops, but, Chad and I will have to work very hard together to keep that two-car tandem at the lowest risk we can really afford all day long, and sometimes it's hard for the drivers to see that, whether they're too far up or in the mid-pack, and for pit road, we can kind of manage that sometimes a little bit easier.
Okay, well, thanks for talking to us today, Steve. Good luck, and get that 88 team across the line first.
Thanks, guys.
You can see Jimmie Johnson's team in the next pit over from Steve Letarte and the
Strategic
88 team, so that'll be easier for them to get back and forth and communicate as the race goes on. Our 8 high-definition onboard cameras today being carried by the driver starting on pole position, 6 of the chasers, drivers with 12 Talladega victories between them, a 3-time Talladega Nationwide Series winner, and the championship leader beginning the day, Carl Edwards. So a lot of great views for you to have a look at 500 miles at the world's fastest speedway for this one. And our over-the-wall reporter today, the rear tire changer for Dave Blaney in the 36. It's Mark Hollywood Armstrong signing for the Soldiers. Way to go, Hollywood. And have a terrific day today here at Talladega. 36 car going to be paired up with Brad Keselowski in the draft for this one is the plan. And the last thing some of those over-the-wall guys did before they left pit road, made sure the back bumpers of those cars were as primed as they can be with what they're allowed to put on them by NASCAR rule. Paul Menard's team doing a little last-minute touch-up. So, Talladega Superspeedway and the wild card race in the chase, where things are more out of a driver and crew chief's control than normal. Driver's going to be running in the tandem draft all day. Time your run to the front at the end. Avoid trouble for most of the middle. How will it all turn out? Who knows? That's why it's the wild card. Pace car is off. Start-finish line past the center of the tri-oval. That's where the checkered flag will wave after 500 miles. Race number 6 in the chase for the Sprint Cup at Talladega is underway. Did not take Jeff Gordon long to find Mark Martin's back bumper.
It's almost like he rooted that 33 car Boyer out of the way so he could get with his partner, but here comes Boyer up on the outside.
Yeah, you can see Boyer stayed in the
now.
throttle, and Mark Martin slowing up to get with Gordon there, slowed him down, but that's not going to take long to remedy that situation.
On the outside, Jimmy Johnson pushed by Dale Earnhardt Jr. to the point as they come down to complete lap 1. That yellow car, Kurt Busch, is waiting for the black machine in the outside lane, the 78 of Regan Smith. That's his planned drafting partner.
Why do they have to have a drafting partner? If you're not teamed up, if you're not paired up with another car, you're going to be running anywhere from 8 to 12 miles an hour slower than what these cars run together.
When we talk about paired up, we mean physically touching. They have to be mechanically linked up to be able to make this work and to make it work like it really needs to make that kind of speed.
Ryan Newman, 39, with Tony Stewart, his team owner and teammate, to the top spot now. And here come David Reagan in the 6 and Matt Kenseth in the 17, running to the outside.
Yeah, I saw this work at Daytona back in July. Matt Kenseth pushed David Reagan to his first Sprint Cup victory there.
Reagan leads that lap. In the last 3 races at Talladega, 88, 87, and 88 official lead changes at the start-finish line in a 188-lap race each time.
Yeah, no reason to think that there's going to be anything different today. I think they know more about this type drafting that is going to make it even more exciting throughout the day.
Well, they're on pace for 188 lead changes. 2 laps, 2 lead changes.
Yeah. Cameron Harvick.
See, Kurt Busch is now paired up with Regan Smith up on the high side. They're coming in a hurry.
Yeah, now, that's not going to be the first time today I'm going to call Clint Bowyer Kevin Harvick because their cars have somewhat of a similar paint scheme today. Bowyer pushing Jeff Burton in the 31, and there's Kenseth to the lead, leads a lap. That is 1 bonus point toward the championship for Matt Kenseth. Remember, if you lead a lap or lead the most laps, you get a point. And a point in this NASCAR system is big.
But in doing that, look how quickly it slows them down and these other cars catch them and surpass.
Jeff Burton, 31, to the point.
See Denny Hamlin now linking up with Trevor Bayne in the 21.
Doc was telling us how much Bayne had to race for today in that Wood Brothers car. And look to the inside. Landon Castle on the 51, Casey Mears in the 13. When we say before the start of this race, this is truly a race anyone could win, we're not kidding, we're not exaggerating.
Yeah, I've talked to some of the team members on that 51 team of James Finch. They want that car at the front all day long. Some of these others may have a strategy to go to the back, maybe hang out a little bit, let things sort out. But this 51 team wants to go to the front and stay there today.
Jamie McMurray, orange and black car coming on the outside now. Andy, you just talked about guys dropping in the back. Remember Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon started up front, racing for the lead in the first lap. Here they are now.
Yeah, and if you're going to go back and hang out and just like let the race go, this is a long 500 miles. It takes a long time to get to 188 laps at the end of this day. If you're going to go back there, you don't have to be touching back here. You stay close enough to do what we used to call drafting, and you can keep up. You're not going to lose the pack, but some drivers feel like that's their best opportunity to get to the end of this race, which is what they're after.
Looks like this 48 and 88 are working their way to the back. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but that's where they're going.
Yeah,
Now they're coming back to the front.
Yeah, I would think in Jimmy Johnson's situation that he needs to try to lead the most laps today. Vince?
That's not the plan, though, DJ. In fact, Dale Jr. wanted to run up in the front, but got overruled, so they're going to run toward the back a little bit more today. In fact, Chad Knaus told me we're going to go wherever it's most calm, front or the back, but limit our risk as much as possible. But they're definitely slipping to the back now on purpose.
Interesting difference in strategies. There's Matt Kenseth, one of the contenders for the championship, racing up front. Johnson and some of the other guys contending for the championship going to the back.
I'll tell you, there's risk in both of these strategies. Whether you're leading the race, I mean, you could get together right at the very front and get in a wreck, but if you're in the back, if there's a wreck, it's usually going to be in front of you. The only option you got, though, is to be slower and kind of go by it, not at a high speed.
Yeah. There we see the 42 and the 1, Montoya and Jamie McMurray making their way towards the front. They haven't had a whole lot to hang their hat on this year. They'd really like to make some noise here today. And as far as that debate about going to the back, being up front, you know, when we were running the big packs, I could see an advantage at times and would do it myself when I was still racing to go back and hang out, let the race come towards the end to make a move. This type of racing here, I think you're better off up front, especially in a situation, if something does happen, that second driver can't see anything. It's hard for him to stop. He may be right in the middle of something that you didn't want to be a part of.
That is the race for the lead. Dozen cars, all bunched tightly together. Jamie McMurray in the 1, out front for the moment, but already in 7 laps, we have had 5 different drivers lead and 7 lead changes.
Still on track for 188 lead changes.
Matt Kenseth and David Reagan, that was close in turn 4. Early in the going today at Talladega Superspeedway in race 6 of the chase. the race for the lead in the Good Sam Club 500 at Talladega Superspeedway for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Matt Kenseth in the 17 has led the most laps so far, but it's close. It's really close. Jordan Williams, saluting America's Armed Forces, and give back by helping support our troops. Visit Goodyear.com/supportourtroops to learn more. So it is Kenseth and Reagan, 1 and 2. Jeff Burton, Clint Boyer on that inside lane behind them. Outside lane, Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart. Then you get to Kevin Harvick and Paul Menard. Black and white 29, and neon green or neon yellow, take your choice, 27. This on Harvick's radio a minute ago.
Slow one high, going to the middle, They're stacked up in front of me, 3 wide, going high. Check up just a touch, check up.
A sample of the radio communication that happens at Talladega and Daytona now in this tandem racing that just doesn't happen anyplace else.
It sounded to me like Paul Menard got a new spotter. Just had to be driving that 29 car.
I used to think it was a challenge enough just to drive your car. I used to talk to myself a lot, but not having to talk to the driver behind me pushing me there. So this is quite interesting and different racing, but it will take place all day long. Great job by Kevin Harvick.
Moving into third and fourth spots, those 2 white cars, 38, 34, Travis Kvapil and David Gilliland, respectively.
We see some of these drivers in cars, the tandems try to get 4 to work. I've heard drivers talk that they think that they can get the right 4 cars to work and become faster.
I did. I talked to Steve Letarte in the garage this morning. He said that they had experimented with that a little bit in practice with their 4 cars, and they're really close to making it work. He said they can't quite make it work. They can take the two pairs and put them very, very close together and get a lot of advantage out of it, but they haven't been able to really link up all 4 cars. Dave?
Looking at the 39 and the 14 for Stewart-Haas Racing, there was some question as to whether they could run up front here together. Tony prefers to spend most of the early parts of these races at the rear of the field. Ryan, on the other hand, likes to go to the front and stay out there. They're working together now, but we'll see how long this will last. Other partners for the 14, we're going to possibly include the 51 of Landon Castle or the 47 of Bobby Labonte, but who would you trust more than your teammate?
Check this out. Now, just a second ago, Matt Kenseth in that 17 was leading, but a lap ago you saw he and David Reagan in that 6 just get separated by a couple of feet for a couple of seconds, and that was enough to knock them back into this pack.
That's all it takes. It's about somewhere 2 to 3 feet of separation, and you lose about 8 miles per hour of your speed. So once that happens, then you can see how far back you fall. Then you have to fight your way back.
One of the things that NASCAR was trying to achieve with this pressure relief valve on the cooling system was to make the drivers have to switch positions more often and maybe change the dynamic of this 2-car draft. One thing I've seen about these drivers, they've figured out how to do this, how to push and not have to switch. You see the offset right there with Paul Menard behind Kevin Harvick. They've been able to work that offset where they can run many, many laps without having to switch positions. And so I don't see that happening as much as what we thought we would.
Mention the 4 and 83, Casey Kane, Brian Vickers, the Red Bull Racing car, driving up into the picture at the front. And looking back, Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon. Remember, we saw them on the first lap up front. We saw them drop back into the pack. Then we heard this.
It looks pretty clear up there to me, Mark. I'd say we go ahead and, just run as hard as we can like this. Okay, yeah, I'm still not wide open, so if you decide you want to pass this little group, just let me know, otherwise we'll just hang with them.
Now that was when Jeff was leading. They obviously have swapped since then, and now Mark is ahead of the 24, and they've run up through a little bit of the traffic that they had dropped back through in the opening laps.
And you see just ahead of them is Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr., so right now it seems they're just content to ride and let the race kind of wind down, laps wind down, and they'll decide what they need to do to their cars and what position they need to be in later on.
There's that offset, breathing, getting the air into the radiator. Love the opportunity to talk about people in these Talladega and Daytona races that we don't get the chance to see up front competing for the win on a more regular basis. How about Robbie Gordon in the 7th car? building his own race team. Independent, if you will, operation, one car. And here's Robbie hooked up with the Wood brothers and Trevor Bayne in that 21. Doc, they've run up to the front, and they're in the hunt here.
Alan, exactly. This is all by design. This actually came together back in February at Daytona because Trevor Bayne didn't have a dancing partner, didn't have someone to draft with. So he and Robbie Gordon hooked up, knowing that Robbie had Penske Racing engines, and Trevor pushed Robbie Gordon to lead at the halfway point of the Daytona 500. They decided to hook up again today. Trevor in the Ford, Robbie in the Dodge, and be able to both stay in the top 10 or 12 and maybe have a shot for one of them to pull off the win.
One of the problems that you get in a race with an odd number of cars in the field and a style of racing that demands people be paired off evenly is somebody gets left out. And that somebody right now was the guy that was drafting with Trevor Bayne earlier, Denny Hamlin, who now finds himself 37 seconds behind the leader in 39th place by not running in the draft.
And he is almost 4 seconds a lap slower than the leader, so it's not going to take long for the leaders to lap him.
Yeah, less than 3 laps, he's going to be a lap down here. Doc, how about this 11 situation?
Well, the whole plan as of Friday in practice was for the 39 of Ryan Newman hook up with the 11 car. That's what happened back in July at Daytona, and they're running 1-2 for the green-white checkered. But that was if the 14 car went to the back of the pack just to get an opening and ride. Well, guess what? Tony Stewart didn't go to the back. He and the 39 are together, and that left the 11 as the lonely soldier out there with no drafting partner and really running slow, struggling to keep up there without some help in the draft.
Pushing forward, 3 wide here, racing for the lead. Separated the middle pair, so it's Kevin Harvick, 29 to the inside, that's going to go to the point with a push from Paul Menard. Just behind these guys, look for Kyle Busch, inside line, and Joey Logano, 18 and 20. I guess after riding without being hooked up, they decided to see what it was going to take to get to the front at this point in the run, because they put those nose and tails together, boom, through the field.
Yeah, and that's something that's going to be important to know. How many tandems can we pass at the end of the race? How long does it take us to get to that point? How many seconds back can we be and still give ourselves a chance to win? Right now's the time to be finding these things out.
But then you get to a spot where there's 3 wide in front of you, and you might have to back off for just a second. Denny Hamlin about to be lapped by Kevin Harvick, the race leader. We're at 50 miles into today's 500-miler in Talladega. Back at Talladega, the first caution flag is out in today's chase race number 6. It is for debris in turn number 2. The field slowing under yellow for the first time today after already in 24 laps having 9 different drivers lead 13 different times. Talked about Denny Hamlin getting lapped a little while ago. Well, the caution coming out not long after he got lapped. A big break for Denny. He is going to get the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass as the first driver will lap down, and in fact the only driver will lap down. So Hamlin will get back on to the lead lap. He is in 39th place.
He needs to start advertising for a partner, though, if he's going to stay on the lead lap.
You know, it's interesting because you say, okay, well, somebody's going to fall out of the race. Well, 4 cars have gone to the garage, but
Still not enough.
4 cars have gone to the garage. Michael McDowell, Joe Nemechek, J.J. Yaley, and Kevin Conway. Race fans, check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy and watch coverage live from Talladega. Follow your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. That pace car just straddled there in turn 2. Looks like possibly the cause of the debris caution. So, first set of pit stops coming up here. You'll see a lot of 2-tire changes.
Yeah, I think you'll see a ton of 2-tire changes. Fuel being the biggest thing they need right now. The only time they really need tires is if, especially like on a green flag stop where they would maybe slide the right front, getting on pit road, they definitely need to change tires there.
And something we saw a lot in the last couple of Talladega races, the guys in the championship, or the guys that were taking a conservative approach to the race, don't pit the first time by when the lead lap cars pit. Then they come in the next lap when the lap down cars pit because there's fewer of them.
Yeah, there's fewer of them, and you don't want to take that. Doing those 2-tire changes and being at the very back, you may catch some people exiting as you're trying to come in, so you don't want any contact or any problems on pit road.
The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award is determined by the winner of each race, the fastest pit time, and you, the fans, vote. Make sure to text the car number to 234567 of your pit crew choice. First pit stops of the day at the conclusion of lap 26. Jamie?
And Kevin Harvick, who spent some time up front. The call was 4 tires, but they realized a lot of others are doing right sides only. That's what they're doing. No changes. They'll fill it up with Sunoco. Vince?
Brian Vickers in the 83, bottom left of your screen, right side tires only. A former winner here, in fact, scored his first Cup win at Talladega.
Upper right of your screen, Casey Kane never won a restrictor plate race. Came from 26 to lead it, right side tires, and 1 can of fuel. Dave.
The blue and red 14 of Tony Stewart, 2 right side tires only, says I like the way the car is, no changes to the chassis. He also said he doesn't mind running up front with his teammates, so they'll stick to that plan.
Dave, thanks. Just about everybody with just the right side tires. And you see Casey Kane, who led the field down pit road, the race leader coming off the pit lane. First caution out today at Talladega. So first round of pit stops, as we discussed before they came to pit road, Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon stayed out for a lap, then came in and pitted the next lap. They're way at the back of the field. And at the front of the field, it is Casey Kane, inside lane, Kevin Harvick outside lane, and that dance to find your drafting partner is going to begin again here.
Yeah, for the 4 up front, though, they're matched right up, so things kind of worked out well for them.
Our green flag restart presented by American Ethanol. Here we go. Tony Stewart leaving room for Ryan Newman to drop down in front of him after they cross the start-finish line.
That was the key thing, Alan. That's what we'll have to watch today is other restarts. You cannot change your lane until you make sure you cross the start-finish line.
See, Jamie McMurray now by himself. He's waiting on Juan Montoya to catch up, hook up with him.
Clint Boyer, Jeff Burton up through the center in a couple of Richard Childress Racing Chevrolets.
Right there, Kurt Busch at this moment. No drafting partner.
Yeah.
See the 78 back about 5 or 6 cars back. So Kurt will be trying to make his way back to get hooked up with Regan Smith again.
Now, Brad Keselowski in the 2 has been drafting with Dave Blaney in the 36. Blaney in that white and red car trying to find a space to get in front of Keselowski while Denny Hamlin was kind of trying to work with Blaney in the draft. And he said, I got a dance partner, thank you. No, you may not cut in.
Yeah, he didn't want to get down a lap again. Hamlin doesn't. He doesn't have a while right now.
That has to be so frustrating if you're Denny. Richard Petty Motorsports cars charging on the outside lane. The Best Buy logo belongs to A.J. Allmendinger, being pushed by Marcos Ambrose.
Comes Bowyer getting a big push from his teammate, Jeff Burton. Make their way to the front.
And the charge from Matt Kenseth and David Reagan. Here come Kyle Busch and Joey Logano to the outside. And 20, announcing their presence at the front of the field.
I think the thing that's going to keep this crowded, or one of the things going to keep it crowded up front with the new rules, is now you see Logano and Kyle Busch go by on the outside trying to go to the lead, but they're breathing the cars more on each lap, and so they're not attaining the high speeds that just gets them out and makes a big run and gets them way out front. So it's keeping everything bunched up a lot more by them trying to keep that second car cooler for longer.
At this point of the race, that's what you're going to see really all the way up until the last probably 5 laps. And you might see them stick together really tight, run those really fast laps, and sacrifice the engine the last few laps of the race.
Wow, sorry, Andy. Big wiggle there for Harvick as Menard was moving around behind him through the trioval there. Denny Hamlin, 11 car. So picked up a little help from Truex in 56. Yeah, but Truex has got his teammate Ruderman in the 00 behind him.
Trying to get you some help. Everybody's kind of content where they're at right now.
Still hadn't found a partner. He's still looking, though.
See, Robbie Gordon was just behind him, trying to find somebody right now. He hadn't got back up with Trevor Bayne at this point in time.
Up front, 33 Bowyer, pushed by 31 Burton. Here come Kyle Busch in the 18, and Joey Logano in the 20. They restarted 12th and 15th, respectively, just 3 laps ago. Last to leading the most laps on second at Charlotte last week for that 18, Vince, and he's having a strong run today.
He is indeed, and remember, guys, they went to the backup car, but this backup was originally slated to be the car they raced in this race, and at the last minute decided no, they'd run the car they ran at Daytona because it was proven. But after an accident in practice on Friday, they switched to the backup, put a different motor in it. Kyle went out for 5 laps of practice and told crew chief Dave Rogers, I think this is the best thing we've had yet. Good news for the 18 fans.
So Kyle to the point, Vince, thank you. Matt Kenseth, the one ducking around behind, looking for some running room, pushed by David Reagan in the 6.
Yeah, that car, the original car that they brought here, had just a couple counts less drag. I mean, it was very minute, but you're trying to get everything that you can. But Andy, that wind tone doesn't always translate to what happens on the racetrack.
No, it doesn't. So you can do everything you can to figure out which car you have is the best. But really, this is the best way to prove it on the racetrack, like they are right now.
On board Tony Stewart.
Yeah, this really wasn't the plan. It was reported a little earlier. Tony was going to hang out in the back with someone that wanted to hang out back there. He was having a hard time finding that person that wanted to hang out in the back. Ryan Newman and Denny Hamlin had run in practice, and were planning on working together. So that's what has kind of left Denny Hamlin without a dancing partner right now.
And that is kind of a preview of what the last lap might be like. Trying to see who is going to lead that lap among this whole pile of cars. Kenseth 17, Kyle Busch 18. Now look at that. Look how much movement that 20 car has on the back bumper of that 18 at the speeds they're running.
Yeah, and the only thing he's looking at is the rear deck lid and the spoiler of that car in front of him. So he's trying to keep it as close and as directly behind as he possibly can to make the most speed.
And Dale, for those of us that have never driven one of these race cars, it's not like Logano's turning the wheel like that. He's holding the wheel straight, and the air's moving that car.
That's exactly right. The air's moving it all around. That's what makes it interesting all day, especially as they get into these bigger packs.
Kyle Busch leading at Talladega.
Editorial coverage on this beautiful fall day brought to you by Goodyear. Pretty good idea of what's happening down there on the track. We are 38 laps in, and we have seen 22 different lead changes. Your leader right now is Clint Bowyer. When we went to break, though, the leader was the 18 car of Kyle Busch, and I want you to look at how quickly this can change. If we go on board with you guys here, it's like a freight train.
It is like a freight train, and they can move all around this racetrack, but a lot of the moving they're doing is trying to figure out where they need to be on the track and whose car is faster being in the front. You see Kyle Busch with Joey Logano changing all over the place. Look at Joey's nose right now, going left and right. They're trying to figure out what they can do, but I think the first half of the race, Brad, what they're doing is learning what they can do for the end of the race.
What was interesting with that camera view there, you saw all the cars just go by him.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I think what you're doing, just like Rusty's saying, it's all about setting up that last third of the race. These guys are trying to figure out where their cars are good on the racetrack, where they're fast at. It's all a cat and mouse game right now. Just figuring out how to get to that last third of this race.
We talked in Countdown with the sports science piece about just the importance of the draft and how it works. But one thing that you pointed out, the cars definitely look different on this track. They're heading almost in a different direction.
Yeah, they are. They do look different. A lot of fans might wonder, why does the car look like it's running crooked down the back straightaway and the front straight with the back of the car pointing in towards the infield? Folks, at other racetracks, you see the back of their car kind of pointing out. And when you do that, kind of running crooked, so to speak, that creates more downforce. At this particular track, they want to get rid of that downforce, and that creates more speed. We talked in sports science, we want low drag for speed. If you look at the cars coming at you, you'll see the back of the car face the infield, trying to get that right rear quarter panel out of the air. That's a real low drag, high speed, but less downforce. Something you would not want to do at a different style racetrack.
Clint Bowyer, still the leader, but Alan, he looks to be getting some company soon.
The whole shuffling around at the front of the pack that we've seen right from the very start of this race, continuing, Nicole, at the head of the point. Now, Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman were running in a tandem draft just a few laps ago when they came to the start-finish line and looked what made what looked to be a planned swap, or trying to get Tony Stewart a bonus point for leading the lap. Only problem was
get in behind him, Ryan.
He didn't lead that lap.
Yeah, he missed it by just a little bit. You can see right here they're trying to get back together.
You, Ryan. Okay, line up here, guys.
And now you're going to see Tony Stewart line up behind Ryan Newman.
Just like
inside of y'all and out.
When they came to the start-finish line.
Yeah, and Tony has said that he wants to be doing the pushing more than he wants to get pushed today. So that's why they waited, let this come back, and they'll try this again at another time. How about it, Dave?
Well, it depends on who you're working with, DJ. There's certain cars that he definitely wants to lead, but with his teammate in front, he is willing to do that. And it's interesting to think about. They are, it's not too bad to finish 1 point behind your teammate, but if it's at the start-finish line, the first ones to cross, they definitely want to get Tony that win, I would think, because that'll be 3 extra bonus points. So we'll see how these guys continue to play this game today.
All right, Dave, thanks. So Tony and Ryan, who had fallen back to 15th and 16th, now making another run to the outside and heading toward the front. We take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. NASCAR fans voted at sprint.com/speed on the driver they wanted us to go in car with, and Tony Stewart was the top choice. So here's the Evo Cam. We go on board and listen in. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with unlimited access to highlights, news, and more. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Ryan Newman trying to tow Tony Stewart back toward the front. Maybe they can get that 14 to lead a lap. How about things from the 39 perspective, Doc?
Yeah, that was the whole plan, is to try to move over and let Tony lead in lap a little bit ago. Didn't quite work. They're going to try to ride their way back to the front. And the 39 car, as DJ said, is much faster when being pushed, because Ryan Newman has led the most laps in both Daytona plate races this year, only to have an incident happen in the last 4 laps in both races. But right now, being pushed is where the 39 needs to be. He can't push as strong, but the 14 pushing him can't go by. They're going to push him right by in the lead, And now watch and see if the swap will work to get 14, a lap led in that bonus point. Guys?
Gonna have to be careful if they try it here. I don't know.
I don't think he got there again.
Missed it by just a little bit again.
Stay in the middle.
Timing and scoring says
did not lead that lap.
no. We did not lead that lap. 2 for 2 or 0 for 2.
They're trying hard though, man.
And that's a real statement on how important a single point could be in determining who wins this championship. Clint Bowyer out in front. 23 lead changes in 45 laps of the Good Sam 500 at Talladega. Race for the lead at Talladega Superspeedway. Brian Vickers, 83. Juan Pablo Montoya, 42. Closing in on 150 miles of today's race. Give Montoya the lead on that lap. Race fans, check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy to watch race coverage live from Talladega today. Follow your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. 26 lead changes, 14 different drivers have been out in front. 1 caution so far, just for debris. And some interesting stories in this lead pack. We've seen Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman 0 for 2 on attempts to get that 14 a bonus point for leading a lap. And we're seeing some guys at the front of the pack that we don't normally get the chance to see on a more regular basis, like, for example, Casey Mears and Landon Castle in this 13 and 51.
Yeah, 2 very accomplished drivers and drivers that do well here. They've hooked up together and taken these cars to the front. They've been up there battling for the lead all day long, and they know that they can run up here and have a chance at the end of this race today to possibly steal a win.
Yeah, and Landon Castle's driving a car. It's a Hendrick car and a Hendrick engine, so he's got the horse to take him there.
You can see Newman and Stewart trying to make their way back up there again, see if they can ever get Tony to be the first one across the line and lead a lap.
Oh, look out there. Wow.
Look at the difference in speed right there.
There's people telling us as much as 12 miles an hour difference between when they're hooked up and pushing together and when they get separated like that. That's a lot.
It really is, and that's what the bigger plate has done, is make this closing rate and this speed that they have even greater. So the driver, especially in front, has to pay attention. The driver behind can't see anything. He's just hoping his buddy leads him in a good direction.
Now, you got the group up front racing for the lead. That does include a couple guys racing for the championship, like Matt Kenseth, for example. A lot of the other guys kind of hanging out back here. Carl Edwards, 99. Jimmy Johnson, 48. Jeff Gordon's back there. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s back there. And they're kind of running, I'll call it the older style Talladega, where they're not bumper to bumper and pushing together, but maybe a car like they're a half apart. Still in a draft, but not in that pushing draft. And one, for example, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is kind of okay with it.
10-4, we picked up the 5 at the 24. We got a long line of singles here, just kind of right. So I thought it was cool here.
I mean, it is.
We'll get it to back off some more there. You'll be all right. I mean, we're doing just fine riding one car length apart. I mean, we're not losing any ground up there, and everyone's just chilling out back here, except for Denny's in a hurry to get on everyone's bumper.
Yeah, this is working. We should have been doing this from the start.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now sitting in 31st spot, Vince.
And I can tell you that it's difficult for Junior to be patient and just be running back there in the back, killing time, because he likes to run it up front. We talked earlier about how he preferred to be up in the front, but the team talked him out of it and decided they would take it a little bit more conservative. And certainly that's what they're doing in this long 12 to 15 car line, the 88 behind the 48. Jamie?
Well, I talked to Kevin Harvick's crew chief this morning, Gil Martin. He said, ideally, we want to run nose to tail, just the two of us. Let's stay out of the pack. Well, you saw this 29-27 tandem up front. Kevin Harvick just said, guys, we're moving backwards. This is crazy. They dropped back out of that draft, and you saw them drop back where Jimmy Johnson and the guys are running around.
Now, look at the scoring serial there, Jamie, on Kevin Harvick, right? Running 25th now. He wasn't first earlier. He's run as low as, what did that say, 32nd? And that's what the day's going to be like for a lot of these guys in this Talladega drafting. Up, down, and all over the place during the day. But not to borrow your phrase there, partner, but you want to be moving forward at the finish.
That's right, yep. Just going by cars at the end. You might not get all the way to the front, but you want to be going forward.
Now, going forward at the moment, after going backwards a while ago, Trevor Bayne. Remember when Denny Hamlin got in there and was drafting with Robbie Gordon? Well, Robbie broke that off. I sound like I'm talking about a high school dating thing or something, but Robbie broke that off and went back to pick up Trevor Bayne in 39th place. And they've charged their way now from some 12 seconds back to where they're up and closing in on the front runners.
And looking at the scoring monitor, they've been running laps close to 200 miles an hour, average speed, while they're catching this group. That's why they have so much momentum. Look at them go on the high side.
And this has been the way they've hooked up the whole time. Trevor Bayne was without a partner. He had lost the draft. Robbie Gordon went back, they got together, and now they've making their way towards the front.
And by the way, that was 5 laps ago. They were 38th and 39th. So, it's amazing. And Trevor has shown us through the Daytona 500 how good he is at being that guy second in the two-car draft, breathing the car like that, and not getting that car in front that he's helping unstable.
Yeah, those were the key things that you said there, Alan. He's able to keep his car cool enough, but for them to make a ton of speed for a lot of laps and not put the guy in front. Whoever that may be, in this case, is Robbie Gordon, doing a great job of pushing him there, Doc.
Indeed he is, and you got to love Trevor Bayne. This morning in the garage area, the veteran Wood brothers were trying to remind Trevor about drafting, and they said, basically, Trevor, listen up now. If you lose your drafting partner here, it's like going to the prom without a date. And Trevor looked at him and said, you know what? I never went to the prom. I was racing the whole time I was in high school, so I don't know what that means. And they said, never mind, just race.
Very nice.
I can relate to that.
So, Bayne pushing Robbie Gordon now up into the 6th position, moving further toward the front. Remember, they were 38th and 39th a little while ago. Juan Pablo Montoya, Jamie McMurray, they are 1st and 2nd. Kenseth and Reagan, 3rd and 4th. 56 laps, 150 miles in the books at Talladega. So coming up on a set of green flag pit stops as Jeff Burton goes for the lead in that 31 car. Pushed by Clint Boyer. Montoya and McMurray, 42-1 on the inside lane. And don't look now. Here come Robbie Gordon and Trevor Bayne, 7-21. Looking for some running room.
Now, the one thing we're not seeing as these drivers try to pull up and take the lead, not a lot of side tracking. As these cars get close together, it's very difficult to do that. They separate quickly if you do that, so you have to be careful or you'll hurt your effort in trying to go forward.
Now, Andy talked about earlier about the crew chief, jokingly was talking about having a day off, but planning the pit stop strategy involves working with a teammate and making sure you're on the same page.
Hey, you want to pit together, you want to come off the pit road together. Actually, you want to be touching, front rear bumpers as you leave pit road, so they're trying to coordinate this. And if they need to get 4 tires or they need to do something different, they need to coordinate it among them so they can do the same thing.
38th and 39th to the front for Robbie Gordon and Trevor Bayne. How long? Well, that remains to be
I'm
seen.
just looking at this. This is going to be Tony Stewart's best effort to lead a lap when they get back to the line right here.
They'll have to change. They're going to swap just a little sooner than they've been doing it. They've tried to do it right there in the middle of the trial.
Pull out early this time. You were just too late when you pulled out.
There you go.
Okay, well,
But they got the 6 and the 17 bearing down on them right now.
He can still get it done. He can still. It's too late now. Or is it?
He's got to push. Yeah, he's got to put. Whoa,
Wow, Kenseth had to check up.
But he got that lap led.
Yes, he did.
I got it.
That's an awful lot of trouble to go through for 1
Good
point.
God.
Hey, and it's not over. They're going way back because of this too. They have to regroup.
Wow. That was close for Kenseth.
Yes.
He probably was all over his radio back to David Reagan in the 6, saying, look out, look out, look out.
You can see the difference in speed right there, just trying to get hooked back up.
Yeah, they just led this lap. Now there's 20 cars in between them in front.
So you saw the negotiation over the pit stops. Getting from racing speed on to pit road can also be an adventure at Talladega. We'll watch out for that when we come back. Brian Vickers out in front for this second. Back live, Talladega. We are under green. An attempt to get to pit road for a green flag stop. We talked about it going to the break. It went wrong for Joey Logano and Kyle Busch because there was some other traffic slowing through the pack ahead of them. Kind of a complex situation. Bottom line, Logano's off the pace. Kyle Busch lost his wingman, and we're still under green. Trevor Bayne and Robbie Gordon had gotten separated on the racetrack. So watch Bayne in the red and white 21.
Yeah, he's motioning and he's coming to the pit. Woo. Logano didn't get slowed down. Look at this save. I mean, this car is sideways. So from that point, he didn't go to pit road. Kyle Busch went all the way down pit road without stopping. Now the tire comes apart.
Caution will come out now.
On pit road, while the green is still out, Vince.
The 48 and the 88 pitting together. Chassis adjustment on the 48, 4 tires. The 88 says he's got a little bit of a vibration as well, so they're working, just hoping that it's a tire issue for the 88. No chassis adjustment on Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Jeff Gordon in, a little bit of wedge out of the left rear, trying to free the back of the car. It's a little bit under the pushing, 4 tires, getting it full of fuel. Gordon's out of the way, guys.
Mark Martin getting the fuel tank topped off, leaving pit road. Caution flag is out for debris from Joey Logano's car. And all of these cars were on pit road before the caution came out and the pit road was closed.
Yeah, it's not going to really hurt too many teams because the ones that did get lapped, which will be like the 21 and 7, they'll take the wave around when the leaders pit.
I think
and some of the others stayed out, and the ones that pitted actually will stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, and I think Denny Hamlin might have just got his drafting partner for the day in the form of Kyle Busch now.
Because that 20 car is going to be in a world of hurt without that left front fender. So a complex, they talk about your cause and effect, right? Trevor Bayne and Robbie Gordon get separated in traffic in turn 2 as they're approaching green flag pit stops. And that whole thing leads to, first of all, great save by Joey Logano, and second of all, the big mess he's got in the left front of his car.
Yeah, that's just another case where I believe that Joey Logano could not see what Kyle Busch was seeing in front of him. Maybe wasn't made aware that there was another car there and all of a sudden had to duck out and nowhere to go.
Red and white car, Trevor Bayne slowing.
Trevor Bayne's coming to pit road. That was a great save by Joey Logano. It's a shame it blew one of the tires out while he was making this save, because that's what tore his car up.
He's got to save his car. If we have a chance of this, he can go all lap down. We got to save a car. He could be 5 laps down and be pushing us to the win. So if they can save that car, they're going to be all right.
Yeah, what he was saying there is to just slow down enough that it doesn't tear the car up, trying to get it to pit road. Don't try to go too fast because we don't care. I mean, as a team, we don't care if he's a lap down as long as the car is healthy to push the 18 because they were really doing well working together.
Well, there's still got a third Joe Gibbs Racing car out there. Remember, Denny Hamlin's kind of been the Lone Ranger too, so.
You'd have to think that would be the pairing now that they would look to make happen.
You would think. Guys that had not pitted before the caution. Coming in now, Jamie.
Matt Kenseth got loose earlier, but he was cool, calm, and collected on the radio. Said he needs a little bit of overall grip. 4 tires, air pressure adjustment for the 17. Vince?
The 42-1 Pablo Montoya, bottom left, started 15th, came in first. He and teammate Jamie McMurray have been very solid. No changes to the 42, just tires, 4 of them. Doc?
Casey Mears, 4 tires, fuel. They're going to put tape on the grill. They're going to make sure it's a little different pushing out mechanism here, but more tape on the front for the 13 car. Dave.
Brad Keselowski gives up 10th place for the blue number 2. 4 tires, no changes, full of fuel. They will get it full of Sunoco fuel. And some problems, guys, now getting the car out of pit road.
Yeah, no urgency there, but again, the way the draft is working at Talladega, whereas that would have been a big deal a week ago at Charlotte, not that big a deal in this race. Second caution out here in Talladega after debris from Joey Logano's car. Talladega Super Speedway, the biggest track in NASCAR, today hosting race 6 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Spotters really busy trying to help their drivers work this tandem draft that's become the way of racing on this giant track. Caution out, first incident of the day after that close call for Joey Logano resulted in a left front tire going down and the shedding of the left front fender on that Home Depot machine. We are just past 150, actually closing in almost on 200 miles now in today's race, halfway in a little bit. Kyle Busch will have to start at the back end of this field. Remember when Logano spun, Kyle took to the pit lane and did not reduce his speed as he was going down the pit lane, and so he'll be put to the end of the line for this restart. Look at this.
Yeah, he's doing this to avoid the accident, but and NASCAR won't penalize him
right here.
if he slows down to what's called a reasonable speed.
He assumed right there that the caution was coming out.
All right, he's rolling along. He's at the tri-oval.
Now,
No caution.
you look at that and you say, okay, Kyle slowed down some and maintained a speed, but he didn't continue to reduce his speed as he went down the pit lane.
Yeah, and the caution wasn't out. They were still under green flag conditions, so he has to be at pit road speed there going down. He's not allowed anything until the caution comes out.
You have to continue to reduce your speed toward the pit road speed limit if you take to the pit lane like that to avoid an accident. And Kyle didn't continue to reduce his speed, so that's what's going to put the 18 at the back of the pack for this restart. Caution in the middle of green flag pit stops, shuffling the running order just a bit. Casey Kane is going to get the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass, the first driver a lap down. We'll get back on the lead lap now. And following that, 3 cars will take a waiver out. Brian Vickers, Robbie Gordon, and Trevor Bayne. Puts them back on the lead lap, and of course they're good on fuel because they were on the pit lane just before the caution came out. A.J. Allmendinger, 43, Marcos Ambrose, 9, and look who's in the second row. Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson. They've been riding around at the back for most of this race. Jeff Burton, 31, going to go around to the point. And here comes Jamie McMurray in the 1, and Montoya in the 42.
Yeah, just for future and late race restarts or something, this 31 and 33 have really been on it on these restarts, so we'll have to see how that may play into a green-white checker or something like that.
I'll be curious to see how long Junior and Jimmy stay up the front. They have ridden around in the back for a lot of this race.
Well, until about 7 or 8 more of these tandems get up there, and then I think they're going to see enough of that and move on to
Jimmy's already
something
led a
else.
lap, so he doesn't need to get up there and lead anymore.
Outside, Dale Jr. McMurray in the middle. Boyer down low. McMurray led that lap, by the way. So
yeah, and I think they're pretty secure in who they're racing around and with here right now. This will give them an idea of what they can expect in the latter stages of the race. Exactly what can they do? What position can they be in and take the lead?
I can assure you of this. If that 88 goes to the lead, you will be able to hear the crowd over the race cars.
I talked to Steve Letarte early today. He said that the 88 team was planning on pushing the 48 car mostly all day long. We're seeing the opposite right now. If this turns out to work really good, this pairing the way they are, this might be good news for Junior fans that he might be able to get the checker flag club. They're using the same spotter for both cars.
Yeah, you could hear how Jimmy had to back out right there as they got there because the 43 came up. And when you're running in these tandems, you just can't get as close as what you could when we ran in the packs and you had the drafting and especially the side drafting there. So you can see the speed that they would lose then.
Looked like Junior had to get out of the throttle just a little bit coming off turn 2. He still had Jimmy up against him, pushing him, so they did slow down a whole lot.
Interesting how after the caution, a lot of the running order of the tandems that we've seen for a lot of the first part of the race have changed around. We talked about now 48 pushing 88. Now here's Matt Kenseth, 17, pushing David Reagan in the 6. And it was McMurray in that 1 pushing Montoya for quite a bit of the race. Now that's reversed. What's it mean? I don't know.
Well, yeah, as Andy was saying, they might find something here that, hey, we are faster as a twosome with this car in front instead of what we thought and what we planned before the day. And if that's the case, we need to know that now.
It looks like this pairing with the 48 car pushing Junior is working.
We got 2 roofs in front of us. We're coming up all pretty good.
It's Junior talking on his radio, talking to Jimmy.
Remember that second car in the tandem draft can't see anything but basically the back bumper and the spoiler of the car in front of it. This camera's on the roof of the 48 car, so it's not an accurate picture of what the driver sees.
like that tandem that way a lot, don't they?
Looks like it's working though.
Both clear, no run.
So, you know, it might not have anything to do with the cars. It might just be the way the drivers go about being in front, keeping that rear car attached, and the driver in the back keeping his car attached to that bumper on the front. So it just might be the styles of the driver more than it is the cars, Vince.
Well, and I can tell you, DJ, I know that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is happier out front. We talked about it. He likes being out front. It's been hard for him to be patient today back towards the back. And maybe the best news of all, that vibration that Jr. was feeling in the second half of that last fuel run, he's not feeling it anymore. Steve Letarte did tell him the tires look just fine.
This is the first time Dale Jr.'s led in the chase so far.
Well, we certainly expect him to do that when we come here. Be a part of it and be a factor. You know that it could be a little bit disheartening to him to know that he was going to have to just go out there and be the pusher all day. So this at least gets his spirits up for a while.
This is the gap back to the second group of cars, if you will. Casey came to the fore, remember, was the leader. Went down pit road for the green flag stop, got trapped by the caution, got the free pass, is on the lead lap. Up front, Jamie McMurray in the one car, looking for that lead. I want to mention Joey Logano is on the track after repairs. They're showing him 3 laps down in 39th place.
This is good practice to see. I mean, just that Jimmie Johnson and Dale Jr. can hold off the charge from a couple of different tandems. You know, for later in the race, can they hold the lead? Looks like right now they're going to lose it to McMurray and Montoya.
And look who's coming on the outside.
Yep, just as we suspected what might happen. Here's Denny Hamlin's hooked onto the back bumper of Kyle Busch. Going places in a hurry, Vince.
Well, and that's certainly been looking for a partner, Denny Hamlin, and he found one with Kyle Busch. Kyle and Denny are working with Denny's spotter, Curtis Markham. We've got a crash, guys.
Ryan Newman spinning off the tri-oval. Caution flag. Got some damage on the left front of that car. You see that front splitter all wrinkled up.
Yeah, the whole front end's tore off of it.
Looks like he may have gotten off in the trial for grass. The lower half of the front end's gone.
And if he
that right front run, it's all the way down.
Yeah, where I was going with that. If he drives that back around the racetrack too quickly, his right front fender is going to end up looking like Joey Logano's.
He's got a lot of problems anyway, though. You can see right there in the trial for grass.
That's just the air literally sucking that car around as he got up beside of David Rudiman. When you're that close.
Hard to tell from that angle if that 00 was coming down at all.
Well, it just wasn't enough room there. And when you get this close to these cars,
no.
You can see, well, it's just that there's a lane there. That bottom lane, there's a little bit of where the pavement goes together and where the lanes were. It's a little uneven right there. And Ryan came up there with Tony pushing him, and it's just the uneasiness that you get going through the tri-oval and then another car taking the air off of it. It sent Ryan Newman spinning.
From Martin Truex Jr.
You can see Tony Stewart was already to the right side.
Stay up. Caution will have to come out. You're
of
good.
Ryan Newman's rear bumper, and when Ryan came up that little bit and then the air being taken off by the 00, that just took all the rear downforce that he had away and sent Ryan Newman spinning through the tri-oval.
And that offset that they had on the rear bumper is actually a force vector that's turning the car to the left.
So third caution is out in the race. Ryan Newman 10th in the championship, starting the day, dragging brake ducts behind the car.
As bad as this is for Ryan Newman, which is obvious, it's really bad for Tony too, because they had a good partnership going here with teammates pushing each other, and now Tony's looking for a new partner.
So the pit road is going to be open here, and would expect to see everybody at least top off the fuel. Jamie, what are they going to do in front of you?
Well, the 31-33 were going back and forth. They decided not to come in. Actually, Cliff Boyer thought that he ran over some debris, so last minute they said, okay, let's pit. Let's check it out, make sure everything is good. The 31, Jeff Burton, his teammate, down below. They're going to change tires, top it up. Oh, and Cliff Boyer stalls it on his way out, Vince.
4 tires and chassis adjustments for both Jimmie Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Right side of the screen. They like the way their cars are handling for the most part, but they tweaked them with those chassis adjustments. Junior got a tear off as well.
So a variety of strategies coming to the end of the pit road. And some interesting strategy being played on the pit road as they come to the scoring line. Follow up on that when we come back to the world's fastest speedway. Third caution of the race is out after Ryan Newman got spun. Some interesting turns of event in the middle stages of today's race at Talladega. Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, 18 and 20, drafting together, but this incident involving Logano that damaged the 20 car have left Kyle Busch now working with his teammate Denny Hamlin, not without complications. Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman have been working together all race long, but moments ago, Newman getting turned into the tri-oval grass, damaging the front end of that 39 car, and now the plan must change for Stewart in the 14, or must it? Because Newman's team continues to repair that car in repeated pit stops in an attempt to keep him on the track and in this race. Talking about Kyle Busch trying to sort out some things with now being partnered with Denny Hamlin in the draft. Listen to this.
Okay, the only thing I can think of right now, Bud, is you can go to the 11 channel, which you're already there. Keep your radio 1 on the 18, radio 2 on the 11. You can hear everything the 11 is saying, but Denny cannot hear you. Well, if you want, just flip to channel 2 and talk to Denny. I will stay on their radio, so I will hear everything you're saying. All right, and to better that, let's have Eddie spot, so that if Eddie spots, I can talk to Denny. Like, Denny's radio will be silent, so I can talk to him, but he won't be able to hear a spotter, so that doesn't work. Damn it.
How about that?
That just shows how complicated this communication process is to maintain these pairings.
And the green back in the air. David Gilliland in the 34 alongside Jeff Burton in the 31 at the front of the pack. Quick updates, Joey Logano in the 20, the free pass at the caution, Logano being shown 2 laps down in 39, Ryan Newman being shown 1 lap down in 38th place. 37 cars on the lead lap. Kurt Busch been working together.
Yeah, it seems like it takes them a lap or so to find each other on all of these restarts. Once they do it, very good pairing.
Up front, McMurray to the lead in the 1. Former Daytona 500 winner. Fair to say one of the guys that really knows how to get it done on these drafting tracks better than most.
Yeah, this is one of the strongest pairings I've seen today is these 2 cars.
Yeah, Burton and Boyer have been there all day, so I think that's someone that you're going to have to deal with when it comes time to win this race also.
But you know, you really don't know who's got what until it comes time to show your cars.
And hope it's not that wild card.
Yeah, hope it's not the wild card.
Yeah. 4 cars, slight breakaway. Then another 4, then this. So wondering how Tony Stewart was going to go about the rest of the race after Ryan Newman was damaged, Dave?
Well, first I checked in with crew chief Darian Grubb, and I said, Darian, who are you going to go with now? And he says, we're working on it. Here's Tony's conversation on the radio.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to do right here now.
The option I've come up with up here is a 20 car. He said he could push, but his left front fender is about knocked off, and we got right.
They're trying that right now. Joey Logano in the orange car right in front. Isn't that interesting? Tony used to drive that number 20 off Home Depot for so long, and now maybe they'll be able to team up and help Tony Stewart in this race.
I'm amazed how fast this 20 car is with the left front fender gone. I mean, he's driving up through there.
And they're not even nose to tail and really pushing yet. Now, my question to you would be, if the 14 gets in front of that 20 and Logano's pushing him, will that left front fender being compromised create a problem in some way?
Well, by being the left front fender, if he can offset, like we've seen most of the cars run today, they're offset to the right. That would kind of shield that left side of the car, and it might work fine. The only problem is I don't know how the integrity of that front bumper, if it's still intact. Looks like it is.
Comes Landon Castle and Casey Mears on the inside, making a lot of time.
Keselowski in that blue 2 has been working with Dave Blaney in the 36 all race long, but he and Blaney separated by a bit right now. You see there's 4 cars in between them there. And after their brief push to the front of the pack, there are Junior and Jimmy Johnson back in 22nd and 24th for the moment. Take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. Jeff Gordon is the lowest starter to win a Talladega race. Started 36th in April of 2000. Well, Jamie McMurray has picked up 38 positions today. He started 39th, and he's leading now. And as far as guys that have been out in front, more than anybody else so far today, Juan Pablo Montoya has paced 16 laps in that 42 car. Yes, 16 out of 90 is the most anybody's led today. And Jeff Gordon, the driver with the most laps led among active drivers here at Talladega. Get closer to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with unlimited access to highlights, news, and more. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Kurt Busch, 22. Regan Smith, 78. Joining the hunt for the lead. Have not had them at the front of the pack. I think most of the time we've talked about them today has been being separated on restarts and trying to find each other. And Kyle Busch in the 18 with his new drafting partner, Denny Hamlin.
We heard that radio, and it sounded like that they weren't prepared at all for the two of them to be talking and communicating today. Rather odd that they're teammates and wouldn't be set up for all of that to possibly happen if they needed it to.
Especially with an odd number of cars in the stable, you'd have to think that would be a possibility. They'd be a little better prepared. And it's working, regardless, it's still working, the pairing unit.
Sorry, Andy, but again, like we talked earlier, you have to be prepared for anything, too. You may plan on working with this guy all day, but if something happens, like we've seen, or you get to the last laps and just things start getting crazy, you may need to work with somebody you weren't planning on, but you might need to. McMurray leads that lap. Bobby Labonte, 47. Michael Waltrip, 15, joining the fray. They were running in that pack that was kind of spread out and riding around off the lead group earlier, deciding to see what they've got and what it's going to take to make a push to the front.
Michael with one of his few starts, but loves to race here and feels like he'll be a really good partner for somebody in this tandem racing that we see now, and pushing Mr. Labonte towards the front.
And on the outside, Matt Kenseth 17, David Reagan 6. Remember, they were running the other way around with Reagan in front for a bit. Kevin Harvick to the point in the 29. Allmenard pushing him. So we heard the radio a little bit ago about Kyle Busch trying to figure out how to communicate with Denny Hamlin in that 18. Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage has a little more.
Thank you, AB. When you're coming to this race, you have to be prepared to communicate with everybody, especially the crew chief. So the crew chief radio, you've got 2 different radios in the car. This switch flips radio 1 to radio 2, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have the same frequencies on one that is 2. And then when you want to talk to your friends, you have to dial them up over here on this dial. But AB Communications, they might be listening to us as well.
Yeah, and again, Tim, all the more important because the guy in that second car can't really see through that car he's pushing. Denny Hamlin can't see through Kyle Busch's back spoiler right now. We are halfway through today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series 500 miler at Talladega. That is the race for the lead. Matt Kenseth, 17. Jamie McMurray, 1. Jeff Burton, 31. Sorting it out up front. And you can continue to watch this fight for the top spot as we go NASCAR nonstop.
Back at Talladega, you didn't miss a beat with NASCAR Nonstop, and perhaps you noticed a couple of different lead changes during that commercial break. Right now, Kevin Harvick is out front with 90 laps to go here at Talladega. Kevin Harvick is your race leader. Most laps led, this is quite interesting. The most we've seen today, Juan Pablo Montoya out front for 16. How about this? 49 lead changes, just a few cautions at 3, and if it matters, because a lot will change between now and the end of this race, Kevin Harvick currently has a 13-point lead in the championship. But Rusty, that's certainly not going to stay that way in the next 90 laps.
No, I've been sitting here watching every single lap, what's going on out there. One thing I've learned is I've not learned much because they've changed so many times back and forth. But one thing I do see happening, guys, is that they're trying all kind of things out there. In my opinion, they're just trying to figure out, again, who they're fastest with and what they can pull off. And above all, they're getting ready for that last lap, Brad, which is going to be the most important lap. I think it's going to be
I think you just said it's going to be a doozy.
It's going to be a doozy. It's going to be crazy.
Without question. These guys all have shown a lot of patience throughout the day, minding their P's and Q's, just making laps, putting themselves in position to figure out where their car is best on the racetrack, just kind of dancing around a little bit. You're absolutely right. Last third of the race, these guys don't go racing home.
We started the day with the Hendrick Motorsports cars, most of them up front right now as they run 1, 2, 3, 4. Richard Childress racing with Tony Stewart trying to push his way up to break up that party.
Give Jeff Burton a nice save in that 31 car coming through the tri-oval. He had his hands full as Tony Stewart splits the middle, being pushed by the damaged car of Joey Logano to the lead.
Joey Logano 2 laps down with the car destroyed on the left front. Look at that fender. And pushing him to the lead.
What fender?
Yeah, but he's gone.
Good, everyone on hook here, right, or we keep going? Whatever you want to do, bud. You do whatever you're comfortable with. I'll follow you.
Obviously that a couple of laps ago before Logano and Stewart made the swap, and now Joey has pushed Tony to the top spot. Dave, how about that 14?
Yeah, and that was interesting how that all came down. You had the young Logano, 21 years old, with 5 starts here, talking to the 40-year-old with 15 starts here. And oh, by the way, the 40-year-old Stewart, he's got a full race car. So Joey deferring, asking Tony where he wanted to go. Tony telling him, you take us there. They did make the swap, as you noticed, Alan, and it appears they are quick both ways. By the way, Tony does like to be out front there where he can dictate where the tandem goes.
Thanks, Dave. Stewart going to give up the lead here. It looks like Jeff Burton pushed by Clint Boyer.
Yeah, look, here comes Robbie Gordon and Trevor Bayne wanting to join this party again.
Going to make it 3 wide.
They're going to spoil the party.
That's Gordon in the pink car. And the Red Bull guys, Casey Kane in the 4, Brian Vickers in the 83. Remember a little while ago, they had just pitted under green, then the caution came out. Kane had to take the free pass, Vickers had to take the wave around. They've come all the way back to the front. Not that I'm surprised at that. It's Talladega. So while we watch this race up front, people having to change the plan. Talk about Stewart and Logano now working together. Remember, Kyle Busch was the one working with Logano earlier, and Denny Hamlin was kind of cut out of the herd. Now Hamlin and Kyle working together. And the president of Joe Gibbs Racing kind of watching this all unfold, Doc.
Let's see if we can shed some light on what happened here. J.D. Gibbs, the 18 and 20 worked together very well with the radio. When the 20 went away, the 18 and 11 are trying to work, but it seems to be very difficult. Why the frequency issue?
They actually had, the way the radios were set up, the 18 and 20 were always working with each other in practice. And when you switch, actually the 11 was working with the 39. 39 goes out, 20 has their issues. And so now everything works pretty much the same except the spotters. To hear them, you have to use one spotter, you can't hear 2. So it's a little bit different, but they kind of got worked out a little formula for it, and hopefully it takes us to the front.
All right, JD, thank you very much. So one frequency working for 18 and 20, but they had 3 frequencies trying to work for the 11 and 18. A little more complicated, guys.
Yeah, I think one of the things working against...
Oh, no, trouble. Allmendinger turned around. Kyle Busch makes contact. More cars involved. Harvick is in it, one of the championship drivers.
Lock it down there, AJ. Get it rolling here if you can.
McMurray involved. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick. Second in the championship, starting the day. Front end damage to that 29 car.
A lot of damage to Kyle Busch, too. You can see that right front looks like it's headed the wrong way, like it might have a toe-in issue.
And that looked like maybe a push that the 43 of A.J. Allmendinger got through the tri-oval, which is probably the most dangerous part of this racetrack.
Juan Pablo Montoya collected.
Yeah, so is McMurray. This was a strong pairing right here. Get knocked out.
Yeah, and it was Allmendinger being pushed by his teammate, Marcos Ambrose, in the 9. I agree with you, DJ. That looked like that's where that started.
Yeah, and the cars get light there already.
Tires are straight.
You're getting a push, and that's what creates these situations in the tri-oval, because the tri-oval may look rather subtle, but it's a pretty good turn inside the race car.
Watch the top there, the outside, 43 and 9.
Yeah, it was just a big run that they had. They were going extremely fast, but it's just literally the rear wheels start getting picked up, and then that turns you down the racetrack and into the other cars.
It goes back to the thing that the guy behind cannot see. And so Allmendinger was looked like he tried to check up a little bit because there wasn't quite enough room on the outside. And Ambrose just couldn't see that.
Yeah, he
right there.
Yeah, he was probably having to check up just a little bit to keep from running over Joey Logano and Tony Stewart right in front of him. But Marcos Ambrose having no idea, and it just takes a split second of cracking the throttle.
Happens fast.
So Kyle Busch, 4th in the championship. Kevin Harvick, 2nd in the championship starting today. And watch Matt Kenseth in that 17 slide through. Just barely.
And the good thing there was David Reagan gave Matt Kenseth room to do what he needed. He saw it, even though he was the car behind, he was able to get back, give Matt room, and not run over and push Matt into the rest of the pile.
Yeah, that's great reactions for Reagan. You see him just pull right back off the back bumper.
And how close Kenseth came to scraping the wall with the right side of that car. From Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Kevin just a victim of this. He was just sitting down there minding his own business.
Spin. We're in it. It's all beat up.
No way for him to avoid that.
Kyle Busch getting repairs done.
42 let off the brake and rolled the whole apron to come find me and hit me right in the right rear. There's no way this thing's going to track straight.
So the first wave of repairs while the leaders come to pit road. Jamie?
And Jeff Burton shown as the leader right now. He said, when we pit, we're going to take fuel. See him jack him up on the right side. They're going to put right side tires here. You see him setting up on the left side. 4 tires for Jeff Burton. Vince?
Brian Vickers' 28th birthday tomorrow, having a run worth celebrating today. 4 tires, no changes, just Sunoco fuel for the 83. Doc?
Casey Kane, 4 tires, trying to get his first restrictor plate win ever. 3 pit stops, previous stop to fix a right rear fender. He's away. Dave.
Brad Keselowski is in for a 4-tire stop. Got too close to the wall last time, so he couldn't make the turn out. That's why he took so long. He's a little better position this time. Now pack it full of Sunoco fuel after that 4-tire change.
So the leaders head back out onto the racetrack with a full load of fuel and some fresh tires, while some of those involved in this incident, particularly drawing our attention, principals in the championship like Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch have some work to be done on their cars.
Yeah, you can see the rear in-house is knocked over to the left side of the 18 car. They're going to have to work on that.
And Alan, you asked at the beginning of this show why we called it a wild card race. That's it.
And you could say some were dealt a bad hand there?
I would say so.
Or at least I would. Kevin Harvick, so steady through the first 5 races of the championship. So happy to get through them intact, but he's not intact here in Talladega today.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Talladega is brought to you by Sprint, proud sponsor of the Chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and Uloric. For more information, visit uloric.com.
Well, an interesting twist in the 6th race in the Chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Today's wild card race at Talladega Superspeedway. Kyle Busch now back in the garage area. His second place run at Charlotte. Today contending up front when caught up in an accident just shy of the 300-mile mark. Kevin Harvick also continuing to get repairs on his car. And more pit stops. And this is not the first pit stops for these guys under this caution, Dave.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was for the 99 and the 16. They've been staying out, Alan, and waiting until A, pit road is a little bit clearer, although it's pretty congested now, and B, till some of the debris is cleaned up from the accident so they don't run through it with their new tires. So Carl will go out slowly, wait for his drafting partner, Greg Biffle, and they'll continue the trek that they've been on, which has been to hang out in the middle and near the back, not lose the front part of the pack, and just keep practicing what they need to do at the end of this race, which is be able to charge to the front together.
Yeah, that's smart. You know, they're just running at the back anyway. No reason to come in and get new tires, like you said, and put those tires in jeopardy by running over some debris that may still be out there before the cleanup crews can get it all up.
Had an initial wave of pit stops. Then on the next lap of caution, Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr. and I had Jeff Gordon coming in again, and then a third wave of pit stops here. So you'll pardon my confusion.
No, you were saying it. It is confusing, though.
A.J. Allmendinger involved in starting this crash a moment ago when he got turned sideways by his teammate Marcos Ambrose coming through the tri-oval. And Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage. Tim?
AB, this is one of those situations when NASCAR noticed the cars were actually getting turned sideways. This is a critical point in y'all right here. But as you see, when the car comes around, it starts to lift. Now, when the rear tires come off the ground, NASCAR's innovation was the roof flaps. What happens? The airspeed comes up through here, literally opens, deploys the roof flaps. What happens then? It puts the car back down on the ground so the driver can drive it. But these little flaps right along this area right here, they're designed for another method. They come up from here, turning the air straight up, pushing the car back down on the ground. All this together works in bad situations. AB.
All right, Tim, thanks. So Allmendinger continues in the race. Kevin Harvick as well. And we go back racing. Clint Bowyer, the race leader. Harvick on pit road again as the green flag happens and the restart sends the field back up to speed. Jamie?
Well, the car looks pretty good now considering he had a lot of damage. Good thing is he still had water pressure. They changed right sides. Then they brought him back in. They added all that Bear Bond tape. He went back out and he said, I have a lot of smoke in here, guys. I have to pit. He just pitted for the third time to pull the fenders out. He's coming back out on the track now.
They were trying to stay just one lap down and hopefully, you know, get the lucky dog, get back on the lead lap. Looks like they'll stay just one down, but they're going to go quickly 2 laps down, running by themselves. Right here comes the leader.
And there's a fast car out there, too. Now, Paul Menard, who has no teammate to work with, so you have to wonder if he and Tony Stewart might start thinking a little bit about working together.
Or does Menard pick up Harvick in the draft and Harvick push this 27 car, or how that's all going to work?
That would be the smart thing to do, is to try to get them back together. Jamie, are you hearing anything?
Yes, exactly. As soon as that happened with the 29, Paul Menard said, okay, now who? They said Tony Stewart, hook up with him, help him out until the 29 is back out there and ready.
All right, well, the 29 is back out, but we'll see. And Menard hanging back for now without a drafting partner at the moment, as Tony Stewart continues to work with Joey Logano.
This pairing worked pretty well the last run. I'd be surprised if they break this up.
By the way, back there with them, Carl Edwards, still championship leader coming in. And I'm curious if this will change anything for the 99 team, because they've been running around in the back all day hoping to avoid trouble. Can you get?
Well, they did that. They avoided trouble.
Well, I was just saying, can you get even more conservative? I mean, I don't know. As they run, but still an awful long way to go in this race. The standings tend to take a big shuffle today, and we've still got a lot of racing left to play. Boyer and Burton ahead of Kurt Busch and Regan Smith, Matt Kenseth running in 5th, Carl Edwards in 28th, Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch 37th and 38th. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Gillette. So as we look at this race, the big turning point so far, the damage to Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch, where the championship is concerned. And the other story, great racing for the lead and a real inability to predict who's going to win this thing. I'll give you an example. Haven't talked about Dave Blaney and Brad Keselowski much all day in that 36-2, but here they come roaring through the lead group.
Yeah, just for the first half of the race, kind of hung out and just kind of let this thing wind down a little bit. Now they want to show what kind of muscle they have.
And while this is going on, Kyle Busch comes back out of the garage, returns to the race in that 18 car, 11 laps down in 38th place.
You know, we've talked about this being kind of like a prom and a dance, and I just happened to see Denny Hamlin there. Does he feel like he has 2 left feet and can't dance? I mean, every time he's had no partners, and then when he gets them, they crash or something happens. So kind of the man left out all night here, or all day.
Matt Kenseth out in front of that 17 car. Led the second most laps today.
Yeah, they just tried to pass us. All they had was 2 cars. They couldn't do it unless you get 4 cars up there. They just can't. They just pull out. They can't do anything.
That's David Reagan talking there, he and Matt.
Yeah, they have a good, strong pair. But, you know, one thing that's happening here is it's too early in this race to know who really has what. I think when you see these, you know, the race start closing to the finish, you're going to see people at the front that we haven't seen all day long, and you're going to see who has the best car. So just because they can hold off some cars now doesn't mean they'll hold off some later.
Yeah, because as we talked earlier, they're not going to be as offset trying to get air to that radiator and keep them cooler. They're going to be tucked in as tight as they possibly can and pushing as much as they possibly can to make as much speed.
You know, you talk about seeing guys in the front we haven't seen all day long. I am extremely intrigued right now by Carl Edwards. Championship leader coming into this race. He's run at the back of the pack all race long. Kevin Harvick with troubles, but Matt Kenseth, one of his rivals for the title, up there leading a lot of laps in this race. When does the 99 make a push toward the front? How aggressive does he be in that push toward the front? Balancing, protecting the car and his finish against running from the back and getting all he can at the finish.
Yeah, that's one of the cars I'm talking about when I say that you don't know what they have. You don't have a clue what this pair has until it's time to show it.
Caution is out. Something has apparently fallen from the 43 car onto the racetrack. How about his left rear tire?
Yeah.
Left side. Yeah, but it shredded everything, dude.
Yeah, it looks like the same thing happened to the one car. They've just got so much damage. Their tires are rubbing the fenders, and they finally end up blowing the tires out.
Yeah, you saw the Jamie McMurray left rear tire on the NASCAR Nonstop a few minutes ago. So fifth caution. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say it wasn't that long ago that Joey Logano was 2 laps behind. Now he's getting ready to be back on the lead lap with the free pass.
And now that puts him back on the lead lap, the next caution would likely give Harvick one of his 2 laps back because there's nobody one down, and Harvick is the next car that's not on the lead lap.
And Logano's car looks perfectly good to be on the lead lap,
yeah.
doesn't it? But he's been fast and can certainly be a factor in this race if he gets hooked up with the right person.
That's amazing. You know, you think of this track as being so aerosensitive, and it is. I mean, it's all about drag, and now it's more about the drafting, and it actually overpowers even a car that's destroyed.
So, we'll see what we see for pit stops here with 67 laps to go, and the leader's just on pit road about 15 laps ago. AT&T fastest pit crew of the year, Kevin Harvick's team currently in the lead. You can help determine the standings by voting from your AT&T phone. Text the car number to 234567 for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable. That's not a good sign from that 29 car.
No, that's not. You were talking about how he could get this, get a couple of these laps back, but they got to get that issue solved. May have a crack in the oil cooler or something because he took a pretty hard shot in the front. And I don't know that they ever raised the hood on it to figure out if they did have a problem there.
Pit stops, Kenseth is in, and Reagan. Jamie?
And the 2 have been glued together. The call for the 6 was right sides only. Matt Kenseth, gas and go. They're cleaning off the grill there. There was a lot of debris out there. Both drivers down and away. Vince?
Upper right-hand side of your screen, Brian Vickers, just 2 tires, right sides only, packing it full of fuel. It's been good so far for the 83. Doc?
And right sides only for Casey King. Right lower part of your screen. Leader trying to hang on. A win would be huge not only for Casey King, but for this team overall in terms of the big picture for next year. Guys?
Race off the pit lane. Clint Boyer going to be first out. And Kenseth and Reagan and Boyer and Burton kind of setting themselves up to be nose to tail on the restart. Cleanup continues. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Gillette. We were talking a few minutes ago about Carl Edwards and wondering if the plan would change any. Well, he and Greg Biffle are talking about it.
So it's looking up for you. Yeah, tempo, we just gotta get to the end. I think we're doing a really good job. I think we're being smart. I don't know your whole program, but you know our plan might change a little bit depending on the points. You know, keep you out of trouble and get a top 10 or something. Might be a little smarter just to be easy to go for the top 10 now that you got real problems with the other guys. I don't know. What I'd like to do is I'd like to just stick to our same plan, be there at the end, and I think we can still win this thing.
Well, now we know what they're thinking from behind the wheel. And that staggered pit stop schedule continues, Don.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon's laid out to be able to lead a lap and get that bonus point for leading a lap here today. Also, just leaving with 4 tires, and basically their fuel window will open in about 20 laps. They'll make their final stop. Anything from 142 on, they can make it on fuel, guys.
All right, Doc, thanks. So let's follow up on that Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle conversation and react to what you heard there.
Well, I think they're thinking somewhat alike, but I think Biffle's a little more conservative, thinking that, hey, take this day and get out of here, keep yourself right in the points. And Carl Edwards is still thinking, hey, we can win this race. There's fewer of them that we have to beat now that they've had some problems.
I think they're just going to be conservative till they get to the end and then make that run to the front.
Understanding the way Carl Edwards has approached his racing over the years, I'm not surprised he's thinking we can win this thing. Even though they're in protect mode.
That's how he got in this position.
Just a matter,
like
yes,
that.
and not going there too soon. I like the Biffle style that, hey, if we come up a couple of spots short, that would be okay. But let's not get there too soon, get ourselves in trouble, and be heading backwards on that last lap.
More on the 99 from Dave.
And just so you know, Crew Chief Bob Osborne is in agreement with Carl's ideas. In Bob's words, there's no finishing 15th here. We have come to win.
I like it. That's what got him the point lead. That's why he's in contention to win the championship. No reason to change that now. I mean, I do agree with the strategy, not to go too soon and try to get in, get up front before you need to. But when it's time to go, it's time to go.
We are coming to the restart, which will be with 63 laps to go. Extensive work, as you saw in NASCAR Nonstop, done on Kevin Harvick's car under this caution. That's Harvick lagging back there on the apron. Hearing from pit road that 29 may be coming for a spell behind the wall if they can't get this smoke to stop to NASCAR's acceptance. 63 to go. A.J. Allmendinger has continued after the flat tire. He is being shown 2 laps down in 35th. And up front, Clint Boyer and Jeff Burton get the fast break and get away from Kenseth and David Reagan. And look at Robbie Gordon paired up with Trevor Bayne in the 7 and 21.
They're not going away. They've been at the front of this field a lot today.
And still sorting it out from the restart of this group.
You saw on that restart that 29 car was still smoking a lot. Decided after that run a little bit. No, not really.
Gil Thomas cleared up.
NASCAR on its race control channel is telling the 29 team they need to fix the smoke coming from that car. And we will see if they take that 29 car to pit road or to the garage to make further repairs on it. Doesn't appear they're heading to the pit lane.
All right, we're going to have to come. We're going to have to come. They're not going for it.
That black flag with the white cross means that lap was not being scored for Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. NASCAR wants him to go fix it. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Gillette. As you saw in our NASCAR Nonstop coverage, Kasey Kahne spinning through the tri-oval in a two-car draft there with his teammate Brian Vickers in the 83. They were running in third position. I say they, Kahne was running in third position. And somehow didn't hit anything.
You can see Kasey started to the outside like they were going to try to make a pass for the lead from Robbie Gordon and Trevor Bayne. And Brian Vickers got just to the right side of Kasey's rear bumper through that tri-oval where you still have a little bit of wheel in it. Sent him spinning. Luckily, didn't hit a thing.
See Matt Kenseth and Reagan again doing a good job. See Reagan immediately getting on the brakes and getting off the rear bumper.
Matt has been around a couple of things today, and David Reagan has really helped him out.
Yeah, watch Reagan right here. He gets off the rear bumper real quick, enough that Matt can slow down.
Wow. So, sixth caution, Kasey Kahne driving back around to the pit lane slowly so as to not have those fenders, the tires that are flat, break apart, tear apart the fenders on that 4. And we work the caution once again at Talladega with 58 laps to go.
Mission accomplished for the 4 car. They got off pit road without losing a lap.
Some front runners are going to pit. Some are going to stay on the track. Jamie?
Matt Kenseth and his teammate David Reagan in. They're saying 4 tires this time, a tear off, and they said they're good to go on tires now. They won't take them next stop, Vince.
The 83 of Brian Vickers came in only because the 4 of Casey Kane, his drafting partner, had to come get 4 tires. So it's 4 for the 83, Doc.
And Kurt Busch came in and just topped off with fuel, no tire change, pulled off a tear-off. No tires at all for Kurt Busch. You want to be able to have a little more fuel in this next window to make it a little further on a tank. Basically, they can go about 44 laps, guys.
Doc, the pit exit thing is getting to be kind of funny while guys are jockeying around trying to get set up to be nose to tail with their drafting partner. Back for the restart, we go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Gillette. Half a lap for the restart. In our NASCAR Nonstop coverage today from Talladega, you saw Kevin Harvick's team working on this 29 car, an army of Richard Childress Racing people there, Jamie.
That's right. This could be the defining moment in the championship hunt. You see how many different people, I've never seen this many people in the garage trying to get him up to speed. Kevin Harvick had the car on. He turned it off. What it was is a broken oil cooler. They added oil inside the car. They're fixing the damage on the front end of that car. And you see the driver just sitting there. A lot of dejected faces down here. Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Now the question is, any damage to the engine?
Probably not. No, they've kept oil in it. You know, I think that's fine. They just got to fix the leak. I've never seen this many people working on a race car in my life either. Look at that. That's a good coordinated effort going on.
Remember, Kevin Harvick started 5 points or 5 positions on the racetrack behind Carl Edwards for the championship today. Right now, with Edwards running around the back of the pack, the damage doesn't appear to be significant. But if Carl makes any kind of a charge in the last laps of this race, that gap could get to be significant, leaving Talladega today. Robbie Gordon, Trevor Bayne, sharing the front row for this restart. Remember, they've been drafting teammates, as have been the guys in the second row, Clint Boyer and Jeff Burton. Watch the guys on that outside left of the screen. 56 and 00, Michael Waltrip Racing teammates, Martin Truex Jr. and David Luterman.
Yeah, the 13 and 51 are lined up together, too. They could make a run for the lead here.
Car pushing him.
Kevin Harvick back from the garage. 37th place, 7 laps down. Well, there you call their numbers. 14 and 20. Tony Stewart and Joey Logano making a charge to the front.
You see Logano really doing a nice job of keeping that damaged left front out of the air. He's got that part well in behind Tony Stewart's, the back part of his car. These two are making a lot of speed.
That's a good shot right there. You can see that whole left front exposed, tire and everything on that 20 car. But still, front bumper intact and doing a good job pushing Tony Stewart.
Weren't with us earlier, that 7 and 21 got separated in the draft. They went to make a move to pit road right in front of Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, who were drafting together. Logano spun at the time. That's what shredded that left front fender when he tried to drive back around to pit road with a flat tire. He went 3 laps down. He's gotten 3 successive free passes. Joey Logano's on the lead lap. That's position he's in right now in that 20 car.
That's incredible.
Robbie Gordon has done a great job with Trevor Bayne there and driving around this racetrack today, leading the race as they are right here. I don't think this twosome would work nearly as well if these two were reversed, so it might be Trevor Bayne's day to push Robbie Gordon as far forward and maybe to victory lane before this is over.
And resetting the story of the 7 and 21. At one point in this race, they got separated in the draft. Trevor Bayne was shaken out of the draft and fell some 12 seconds behind. Robbie Gordon abandoned Denny Hamlin, who had kind of picked up on him, and went back to 38th spot to pick up Trevor Bayne in the draft and brought him all the way back to the lead.
A little move right there by Tony Stewart to get over on the quarter panel of the 21, separated those cars. You can see how quickly they're losing speed.
22-78, Kurt Busch, Regan Smith. Haven't seen them at the front today. Talked about this a little while ago. We've seen a lot of them having trouble finding each other on restarts, but now they're pushing, and they're racing for third spot.
And just behind them is the 13 and the 51 of Casey Mears, Landon Castle, making their presence felt again.
Can an underdog win? The white cars there. Travis Kvapil, 38. David Gilliland, 34. They could factor into the finish of this one.
Look at Ryan Newman's car, which was torn up in an accident earlier, being pushed by Denny Hamlin right now.
He's 16 laps down, but car's still fast.
And Denny Hamlin is on the lead lap in ninth, and he was out of the draft earlier, the odd man out in an odd-numbered field that's paired up by twos. Got a lap down, got a free pass, came back around, found a drafting partner. And we've still got a lot of racing left to go here at Talladega. Just past 350 miles. Tony Stewart's the leader. We go NASCAR nonstop, presented by Gillette. Tony Stewart leading the Good Sam 500 at Talladega Superspeedway, working down toward the later stages of the race. Robbie Gordon, would you say that Trevor Bayne has beaten the back bumper off that 7 car in this push draft today?
He about used it up.
Well, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to go ahead and say this. This was one of my ideas to separate these cars some, was to take the back bumpers off of them, and then maybe they wouldn't push as hard or have the opportunity. We're going to see here what they would do with that.
And you can see how the airflow changes. When you see the gap, the separation, that bumper cover folds back down. As soon as that 21 car gets close, you can see that bumper cover lift up.
I don't think you can get up there and push on the chassis as good and know exactly what you're pushing against and have that reference.
And that may just be taking 2 cars that were potential contenders for the win out of the mix.
Yeah, just something like that could definitely hurt them enough.
Understanding that the 7 went all the way back to 38th place earlier and picked up that 21 in the gap. If you're Trevor Bayne, if you're the Wood Brothers, do you look at that and say, okay, got to go find something else?
Well, if they get a caution, they can get in there and secure that bumper and get back in business.
It's a tough call, huh? Dave, what are they saying about that 7?
Or what they think they might do, they're telling Robbie they're just going to cut the whole thing off when they come down the next time on pit road. But it definitely appears to be affecting. Well, I don't know, how much do you think it's affecting their speed right now?
It's hard to say. I'm like Dale. I don't think that they can effectively stay connected, with that, with the bar behind the reinforcement being the only thing that's touching the front end of the 21 car.
Look, a Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon sighting, guys. They decided to show back up in this race. Watch out.
Well, before you get too excited, they're 18th and 19th.
Well, they haven't even been in part of the camera. What may happen with Robbie Gordon's too is that piece may decide to become unattached there and end up on the racetrack for another caution here for long.
And I think we're seeing that 21 and 7 separate enough in the corners that either Trevor's backing off to try and preserve that 7 car, or they're just not able to stay together with it in that aerodynamic condition.
I think that's the biggest thing, is Trevor just has no idea what he's up there pushing against now and what he can do and just how much he can force it, Doc.
Yeah, I'm up there talking to Donnie Wingo and some of the Wood brothers, and they were talking about what our options are. They said, really, there's no one else to get up with right now. The 7 is our only option. So what we might have to do is go around in front of the 7 and have the 7 push the 21. We weren't nearly as fast. That might be the only thing we have left here right now. They're just going to try to hang on and maybe let Trevor get in front of Robbie Gordon here very soon.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Doug. That's what Andy and I were up here. I think that's their only option right now, to keep this pair together and just see what they can do with Robbie Gordon pushing Trevor Bayne in that 21.
But it has been in this configuration all day, 7 being pushed by 21, so that'll be something new to find out for those drivers and teams.
One thing that could be happening too is that bumper cover is covering over the hood of that 21. It could be restricting the airflow even more and making it more of a problem to keep the 21 car cool.
Up front, Tony Stewart, pushed by Joey Logano. Kurt Busch, 22, 78, Regan Smith. 31, Jeff Burton, 33, Clint Boyer. And by the way, coming back into the frame, Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42, pushed by Jamie McMurray in the 1. Montoya is lead lap. McMurray is 7 laps down. Championship standings at the moment. Stewart started the day 5th. 24 points off the lead. Remember, Carl Edwards is running in the back. Don't know that he's going to finish there.
No,
he's 33rd right now.
I'd say for sure he's not going to finish there. They're just hanging out, waiting for the right time to make a charge.
Yeah, but on that run up through traffic,
never know.
If he finishes back there, it'll be because they were trying to make their way to the front and something happened. But we have seen this twosome right here. Tried this before, back when we had pack racing, and they tried to go to the front a little bit early, and they actually got themselves in trouble and created a big wreck. So hopefully they maybe learn from that, and they'll be a lot better off today as they start making their march forward. But they've got a long way to go before they want to start that.
Memory serves, that was 2008, right? Carl bumped Greg going into turn 3, and it set off a chain reaction accident that claimed a bunch of cars. They talked about that this week between them as they chatted to make their plan for this race. They talked about the mistakes they'd made here in the past and how they've learned from it, and shook hands on it and came to an understanding of what the plan was going to be for this race, and feeling like they know better what not to do because of that very experience together. So that's Edwards and Biffle, 33rd and 34th. Let's also have a peek in at Jimmy Johnson, the 5-time champion, who is running 24th with Dale Earnhardt Jr., still partnered up with him in 25th. There they are. Remember, a time or two today, they've made a run to see kind of what they've got. And all that going on behind leader Jeff Burton. Been a while since he's been to victory lane in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, but he's been up front a lot today. Burton and Boyer, 1 and 2. 41 laps to go at Talladega. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Gillette. After Dale Earnhardt's passing, I asked the driver about going racing again, and he said that just like when any of us loses a loved one, we have to keep moving forward and keep going. And he said, racing is what I do. And so it is today that while paying tribute on their cars and their helmets to the fallen Indy 500 champ, NASCAR drivers race on at Talladega. And they race on into the final laps of today's race with Tony Stewart out in front. This massive pack of cars all contesting the win. 34 on the lead lap as we draw into the final laps of this race. As to who's going to win, it's anybody's guess. It's been that kind of race. 63 lead changes, 23 different drivers out in front. And some of those you might consider to be strong favorites at any race we go to, like, for example, Carl Edwards or Jimmy Johnson or Jeff Gordon, we don't believe have shown their hand at all so far today.
And is that the 4 car that brought that caution out running forward?
You mean that one that spun through this very part of the track a little while ago?
Yep, but you'll notice that he's in the pushing position right now. He had enough of that getting pushed too hard.
Ryan Vickers in third in the 83. Casey Caton in fourth in the 4. And yes, he was the one that went for the slide through the trioval a little while ago. Look at his scoring serial there.
Yeah, and then how about, you got 2 cars in the top 4 that have brought out cautions by spinning at Talladega. How often have you seen that happen?
Yeah, not very often.
A few weeks ago at Dover, we called A.J. Allmendinger's slide early in the race through turn 4, maybe save of the year. Joey Logano's early in this race today might be the save of the year now.
Oh, yeah, that car was completely sideways. I mean, you saw the whole left side of the car as he was sliding down the track. But he's doing a tremendous job here. And I think because him having to keep this thing offset somewhat is also helping him keep this cool and be able to keep Tony Stewart out front. Nobody's been able to really pass this twosome for a while.
Tony Stewart is within 4 laps of taking over the top spot for most laps led today, which again contains an extra bonus point toward the championship. Weren't with us earlier. Tony was pushing his teammate Ryan Newman. Twice they tried to orchestrate it so that Stewart could lead a lap for a bonus point at the line. Twice it didn't work. Newman got there about 6 inches ahead of him. Third time was the charm. Stewart finally led, and now he's been out in front for the last few laps of this race.
How about Travis Kvapil and David Gilliland working together here? Incredible. David Gilliland's got the best finishing average of any driver in these restrictor plate races this year, and that's a pretty incredible stat.
Front Row Motorsports, one of the underdog teams of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Gilliland, one of those guys that just always seems to be around the front in these restrictor plate drafting races at Daytona and Talladega.
Yeah, and he has a real knack for being able to keep his front bumper attached to the rear bumper. And I think that a lot of drivers are very comfortable with David being in that position, and they know not only can they trust him, but they're going to get a lot of speed out of it also.
So the race for the lead. Another round of pit stops still to come. Will there be another twist of plot in the finish of this race? We've already seen Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch damaged in an incident earlier. Stewart out in front, 32 to go. We go NASCAR Nonstop presented by Gillette.
Talladega Superspeedway with the laps winding down. 29 to go. Out front right now is Jeff Burton. Aerial coverage brought to us by Goodyear. This race is known for its unpredictability, the wild card race. First-time winners has an effect on the championship. What are we seeing today?
We're just seeing a real mix-up in the points right now. A big concern for Kevin Harvick, who has had a problem. He's all the way back to 5th in the point standings right now. But Matt Kenseth, the guy we talked about on our show before it started, really having a great day right now, leading our points as this thing continues on. Carl Edwards is planning his strategy for late in the race, Brad. But I don't think what we're seeing in the points right now is going to end up this way when it's all said and done. Yeah. Too much racing left.
I agree with you. And as we go back, we're talking a lot about all these first-time opportunities, winners at this racetrack. The guy for me is would be Landon Castle. I mean, he has been up near that front all day long. He keeps shuffling back and forth, back and forth. I've watched him all day, and I think he has a good opportunity possibly to get that 51 car into victory lane. He's done a great job, and he keeps moving back and forth, back and forth. Keep an eye on him.
Well, we talked about him earlier, though, Nicole. I'm sorry to interrupt you. This guy doesn't have a sponsor, the 51 car for next year, and he's been instructed to drive his brains out, too. Yeah, do everything he can. He finished second in the nationwide race at Daytona this year, so he knows how to run good on restrictor plate races.
Landon Castle has the potential to become the 11th first-time winner here at this track, but there are a couple of drivers throughout history that have been able to collect their one and only career wins at this track, including the very first winner at Talladega Superspeedway, Richard Brickhouse in 1969. Most recently, though, 1988, and Phil Parsons. What will we see happen in the next 27 laps, Alan?
Nicole, if it's anything like what we've seen happen in the last couple of laps, we're all going to be holding our breath, I think. We saw Matt Kenseth squeeze his way to the inside lane. We saw Jeff Burton have a big wiggle being pushed by Clint Bowyer. And we've seen Tony Stewart get separated from Joey Logano by Kenseth and David Reagan, 17 and 6, have to go back to 16th place to collect that 20 car, and now charge his way back up to 5th. And how about Brad Keselowski in the deuce, pushing Dave Blaney in the 36.
If you remember, Brad Keselowski's first win was when he pushed Carl Edwards. This is the first time I actually saw this two-car tandem hookup. They did that late in the race, and then as they came to the line, we all know what happened. Carl Edwards went upside down, and Brad Keselowski got the win.
So coming up on the opening of that pit stop window, I believe it was Doc that reported to us a little while ago, anytime after lap 162, we could see the leaders make their final pit stops. Trouble. 71 car and the 32 in trouble. Andy Lally in the 71 on the outside wall. 32 is Terry Labonte.
I think these two cars have been running together.
Caution is out. And now those final pit stops will be made under the yellow flag. They were running 31st and 32nd, Lally and Labonte on the lead lap. See the winner net down on the 71 car. Drivers signal to the safety officials and to NASCAR that he's okay. But Andy Lally, with a wrinkled up race car, sitting on the apron inside turns 3 and 4. Oh, that's Jimmy Johnson.
Stay low, stay low. 71 is Rex here. Right up there, no pressure. Come on up there, Jimmy, if you need it.
Just behind Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle, and that's a hit on the right front of that 48 car.
Yeah, that's a pretty severe hit right there in the right front of the 48 car Jimmy Johnson.
It was a good job by Jimmy, not Greg. I mean, he can maintain control, but he did take a pretty good lick on that right side. This is one of the problems. I mean, you can't run away from trouble at this track. I mean, it can happen at the front or the back. These guys were running at the back trying to stay out of trouble, and it found them.
So we'll see what kind of damage the 48 does or doesn't have as the team gets a chance to look at it here on pit stops. It'll be with 24 laps to go. Jamie?
And you see them all coming in. First up, It is Matt Kenseth. Last pit stop, they said no tires the rest of the way. They clean the grill, pull it, tear off, fill it up with fuel. The 31 of Jeff Burton, bottom left-hand side, right side tires only. He and his teammate, the 33, been running up at the front, Vince.
That 20 of Joey Logano, upper right-hand portion of your screen, heavy damage to the left front fender. Says he can't lead because of that aero damage, and is not able to push well either. Dave?
He's been helping Tony Stewart, but word is that they may not get the help as it's a real traffic jam getting out of here toward the end of the race. Stewart may need to find a new partner. Vince, what's up with the 48?
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson, they addressed some of that damage there on the right front. Does not look severe at all. They made the change, the tire change, gave it a little extra time on the right front. Full of fuel for Chad Knaus, and off the 48 goes.
Chad will get the update from the crew members that were addressing that right front to see if there's anything else that needs to be done.
It looks fine right there. It looks like there's hardly any, if any, damage.
Yeah, it looks like it might have got more on the tire itself than it did the actual body.
Maybe the golden horseshoe's back?
Maybe.
Well, as long as it didn't affect the steering any at all, and I'm sure that Jimmy would have told him if his steering wheel was off any at all and it had done anything there.
I kind of wonder, though, we heard Dave talking about how the 20 car was not going to help Tony Stewart. I kind of wonder how that's going to work out here. Only 24 laps to go. But first, why would the 20 not continue helping Tony, and then who's going to help him if he doesn't?
Unless there's some Joe Gibbs Racing team needs that might override. Working on that back panel on the 7 car for Robbie Gordon.
When they get that repaired, they could become a factor again, he and Trevor Bayne.
Without question. Remember, they went as far back as 38th and 39th and ran all the way up to the lead, did Gordon and Bayne. Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle on that alternate pit schedule that we've come to expect these last few Talladega races, not pitting with all the lead lap cars, instead coming in a lap later when pit road is in theory less crowded. Although the Biff stayed out there. That was interesting. Dave?
Still checking on that, why Greg Biffle stayed out at this point. Carl Edwards is definitely coming in. See if they're going to make any changes to the car at this point, Alan. But they will take on 4 tires while he's here, and they'll send him back out. Championship leader coming into today. We'll see how their strategy plays out at the end.
All right, so Carl Edwards will restart at the back of the lead lap cars. I would expect we're going to see Greg Biffle in next time.
He will. He just stayed out, I think, to lead a lap. He's still in the battle for that 13th spot in the points, so I think he wanted to stay out there. They're going to be at the back anyway.
Yeah, it's the first lap he'd led today, so he did get that point.
Jamie McMurray, free pass under this caution. That'll leave McMurray 6 laps down after some troubles earlier in the race. And another look at the cause of the 7th caution when Andy Lally got turned by Terry Labonte into Jimmy Johnson and then into the outside wall. That's a nice save.
Exceptional.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., our in-race reporter, had a good view at that one.
Hey, Dale Jr., Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
What kind of pressure are you running around at right now under caution and what temp?
8.
Temperature?
Temperature 140.
Hey, Junior, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm sure that trying to play it safe all day, that was a little too close for comfort, huh?
Yeah, that's the way it goes, though, but we've just kind of been hanging out. When we feel like racing, we race a little bit. Otherwise, just sort of watch everybody else race. So far, everything's been working pretty good. About time to go to do all the serious work and all the heavy lifting, so we'll see how it works out.
You confident that the two of you can take this thing to the front now after hanging out there all day?
We got as good a chance as any car on the track as far as talent goes, but we got a little bit better race car than most of these guys, so maybe that'll help us out.
Who's going to be the pusher here?
I don't know who the pusher is. We'll just have to find out.
All right, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll see how they sort that one out, because they're going to be side by side on this restart. Greg Biffle has pitted and rejoined the tail end of the field. So it is going to be Clint Bowyer in the lead, Matt Kenseth to his outside, David Reagan inside of row number 2 as Casey Kane leaves pit row. And a lot of these guys that have managed to work the exit of pit lane to be lined up nose to tail in the draft the way they want to be for the restart aren't exactly lined up that way now. For example, 33 and 31 separated by the 6. 17 separated from the 6. Tony Stewart separated from Joey Logano for this restart. It's going to get really interesting in just a minute. It's been really interesting all day long here at Talladega, particularly the tri-oval. This was the big moment where the championship is concerned.
Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch both involved in this, involved in the chase also.
Real close call for Jimmy Johnson in this one.
And a tremendous save of that 48 car on the apron of the racetrack at 180, 90, whatever miles an hour. So, Kevin Harvick took the wave around. There are now 32 cars on the lead lap. There'll be 21 laps to go in the race. Have we seen the last caution? And how's the finish of this one going to shake out? Kenseth squeezes in behind Burton and in front of Reagan. And Dave Blaney in the 36, pushed by Brad Keselowski, going for the point on the outside.
You can see the 33 and 31 separated by 2 cars and a lot of car lengths there now.
Kenseth backs up to Reagan, and Tony Stewart hooked up with Paul Menard now in the draft, that neon car.
I'm not sure that's not going to make Tony Stewart even more of a factor in possibly winning this race.
And still hanging out at the back, Carl Edwards and his drafting partner, Greg Biffle. Dave Blaney and Tom Baldwin Racing to the point at Talladega.
Yeah, that's nice to see for Tom and Baldwin Racing and Dave Blaney. They work hard each and every week just to get these cars to the track and bring a good product there. Good race driver, good owner, and nice to see good things happening.
Now you see Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano getting together.
And Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson looking like they might be trying to push through to the front right now.
Well, it's 20 to go, Dale. I know you've done this from the back before. What do you think is the right time to start your charge from the back, either Edwards or maybe even Johnson?
Yeah, way too early yet. You know, we saw Trevor Bayne and Robbie Gordon come from 12 seconds back in less than 10 laps to get themselves to the front. So I think there's still plenty of time here.
So you're saying about 10 laps to go when you want to make
it so? Yes.
Tony Stewart to the lead. Remember, it was in this race a year ago that with 16 laps to go, Jeff Gordon was 21st, Jimmy Johnson was 22nd. Chad Knaus came on the radio, said go. They went, but as soon as they got to the front, the 24 had a problem, left the 48 without a drafting partner, and Jimmy was kind of fending for himself for the rest of that race without as much success as they had together all race. All day long for that.
I'm not sure that we've seen all that Martin Truex and David Rudiman have today, too. They've been up there a lot. We've seen speed out of these two. Do they have even more here as we get to the end of this race?
A chess match. Look at those cars moving around in the air in that draft at over 180 miles an hour anyway, Dave.
And the thing to remember about the 56 and the 00 is the weekend didn't start well for them. They had some parts confiscated off the cars. The windshields were taken by NASCAR. The but they regrouped, and these two have stayed together all day long. They planned on working together as teammates, and they've stuck together, the 56 and the 00.
NASCAR saying further penalties to be forthcoming for those two, as well as the 47 team on Tuesday. Vince?
Well, this is a spot that Junior and Jimmy Johnson have tried to avoid much of the day, being surrounded by other cars as they're just outside the top 10 and discussing how close they might be to go time.
So do you want to wait a little bit and let these guys crash, or go racing? What do you think, Junior?
I'm not in no big hurry to run up in there, but I thought we got a little bit too far out of it that last little run there. So, I don't think we can start around too long.
There have been a few times they've been tempted to go a little bit earlier today and get aggressive, and each time they've taken the conservative route. So far, it's paid off. Will it continue to pay off over the final 17 laps, Alan?
A lot of racing left to find that out, Vince. Bobby Labonte, 47. Michael Waltrip, 15. The big charge to the outside. Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin, 24 and 5 as well.
Might be looking good as Marcus Ambrose now has Trevor Bayne pushing him. We'll have to keep an eye on that, Twosome.
A little bottled up there. Labonte and Waltrip got separated. Everybody gets through okay.
Well, you can feel the intensity picking up now with less than 20 laps to go.
Cancelon. Matt Kenseth looking to the outside. He and Tony Stewart along with Clint Boyer have been people who've been out in front most in this race. Jeff Burton, Montoya, they've been up there as well. Look at that save by Dave Blaney in that 36.
It's more than a save. Look at him still going to the front. Never let off the throttle.
Wow. A lot of racing left to go. The story of this one yet to be told. 15 laps to the checkered flag in Talladega. Continue to watch the action as we go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Gillette. Trouble at Talladega has brought out the caution flag for the 8th time. Bobby Labonte climbing from his car after a hard crash in turn number 2. Labonte turned out of that big pack that was drafting all the way up into the outside wall and then collecting Kurt Busch on his way back down across the racetrack. Talking, a minute ago about him and Michael Waltrip running to the front there.
The intensity level was coming up. These guys were trying to position themselves for these last few laps. And pushing and shoving, it starts to take its toll, especially in the corners. These cars have to be connected all the way around the track to make that speed.
Kurt Busch started the race 7th in the championship. Only 27 points, 27 positions off the lead. He's headed to the garage in the closing laps of this one. And that's an awful lot of damage to the front end of that 22 car. It's Michael Waltrip in the 15, behind Labonte in the 47.
Andy Kessler got a piece of that also. See here,
Kurt Busch. Hard look for Kurt Busch and Bobby Labonte.
It looked like that when we had followed Michael Waltrip and Bobby Labonte that Bobby was really loose with his car. He wasn't able to turn it a lot of times and would have to chase it up the track. And you're right,
Wow.
that's really hard lick there at the end.
You just know where to go for Kurt Busch.
Just an indicator of how hard that collision was. For Kurt Busch, not the finish he was looking for at Talladega. Some pit stops under the caution, not many.
You see the 48 on the left of the screen, the 88 Dale Jr. on the right. They've been partners, both taking 4 tires. They just talked about not coming in, but Jr. thought he ran over some debris, so that's why they came. Dave?
Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards came through. They were riding in the back trying to avoid contact with any of that action like we saw Bobby Labonte get into. So they rolled through all the debris. Carl Edwards' team had 5-lap scuffs to put on the car only. Not sure what Biffle's team had to put on, but they both felt it was better safe than not to pit.
I have to agree. You know, there's a lot of debris from that crash down there, and they're fairly far to the back anyway. Don't lose anything by coming in and getting those tires on.
The team's getting 6 sets of tires to run this race. This is now the 8th caution that we've had today. A number of incidents, not all of them crashes. They've had several debris cautions during the course of the day. Still 13 laps to go. Let's go back and finish that last commercial break as we go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Gillette. Well, there's your leader in the Good Sam Club 500 at Talladega as we come down to the final 10 laps. Tony Stewart out in front of this race. A race that's been very competitive, 70 lead changes now, 26 different drivers have been out in front. A race that's had its share of twists, some of the championship leaders involved in some incidents, spending some time behind the wall, speaking specifically of Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. Kurt Busch now back in the garage area, and Jimmie Johnson, one of the guys that's run around on the back of the pack all day, got bounced off of a little while ago. And Vince, they're still out there in 25th. What do they think?
They've been comfortable running toward the back. Chad, now with 10 to go, how confident are you that you guys have the combination to get to the front?
I'm just happy we made it to this point. How's that? So I'm real happy with the way Jimmy and Dale have worked together today. They've done a very good job of being very selfless and, you know, putting each other's guys' needs in front of one another. So it's been a really good day. It's been fun working with the 88. Real happy with the Lowe's Chevrolet, and I think we've got an opportunity to get up there. We're just going to have to see. There's more than likely going to be another accident. Hopefully we're not involved in it. We'll hopefully come out here with a decent finish.
The last incident, as we're going to take a look at it here, was there any damage done to the car as you guys went through the debris?
No, not really from the debris. We had some contact from the 71 on the right front tire, and it may have bent the toe just a little bit, but it could have been a heck of a lot worse, that's for sure.
Thanks, Chad. Dave?
Darian Grubb has made very few adjustments on the race car today for Tony Stewart, but you had to make a big adjustment in who your drafting partner was. What's that going to do for you? Better situation?
It all just depends. It depends on whether we think we can trust who's pushing us or not, but everybody can tell we got a fast car. We're able to drop it to the front with 2 or 3 different guys. Hopefully we can keep it up there with El Monterey and Office Depot.
Did you believe how far you were able to get with the 20 car with its damage?
Yeah, 20's a good pusher, and we wish we could have kept him, but we're going to look for the best guy out there right now.
They went shopping for Paul Menard, and those guys said yes. So, Alan, that's the matchup for the end for the 14 car.
Yeah, the racing version of let's make a deal. Let's make a drafting deal. So, 1 to go. And Tony Stewart, as the leader, has chosen the outside lane. Remember that race, well, the Daytona 500, where David Reagan, in a hurry to get down in front of his drafting partner, Trevor Bayne, didn't wait until he crossed the start-finish line before changing lanes and was penalized by NASCAR. Before Stewart pulls over in front of Menard, he's got to wait until they're across the start-finish line. Thinking about some of the guys that are deep in the pack and when they're going to make a break for the front. This radio a minute ago.
You feel about leading here, Junior? Want back in front once we get going?
Yeah, I mean, I'll push you until that's not working out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one move here, and I've got no problems pushing, man.
Yeah, I know.
Well, right now, Jimmy's got to get to Junior first, and then we'll see how they fall in line as who's going to be the guy in front in that 2-car draft.
Yeah, my personal opinion, I'm not sure that's the best scenario. I'm not sure that this isn't a more formidable pair with the 48 in front and Junior pushing. It just seems that their styles match up a little bit better that way, but hey, they're driving these things and they know what they can make work. We'll see what happens.
And what of Carl Edwards? championship leader starting the day, has hung around at the back of the pack all race long. His drafting partner, Greg Biffle, is behind him. As we come to the final 10 laps, when will he make his move? Will he get through cleanly? Can he win the race? Fans of Talladega on their feet, ready to see what's going to happen. Tony Stewart, the race leader. Watch that start-finish line, 10 laps to go, green flag is up. Jam up in traffic in turn 2, look out.
There's a potential problem there.
I'd have to say that'll give that outside lane a big run going down to turn 3.
Look at this accordion. Jeff Burton to the point in the 31, pushed by Clint Boyer.
Oh, look at Jeff Gordon stick his nose in there, starting to get aggressive now.
So tight with Mark Martin's drafting help. And to the outside, Matt Kenseth, 17, David Reagan, 6. They've been one of the more formidable drafting groups all race. When's the right time?
Oh, it's time to go now. Yeah, I wouldn't be backing out and saving anything at this point in time.
You still see Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle. They haven't made their move really to the front. I don't know if they're trying to, but they haven't done it yet.
4 in the lead. Stewart and Menard to the outside.
Trying to come from further back here, they're going to have to understand that these guys are going to stay tucked up. They're not going to breathe these things now. These are going to be the fastest speeds that they've run all day right here.
Burton leads that lap by half a car length. 8 laps to go.
Good Jeff Gordon.
Oh, trouble right there. Martin and Hamlin and Regan Smith with a hard crash.
In front of you there. Stay focused. Stay coming down. Watch him coming down.
Caution is out, as you see. Contact in that pack in turn number 2 and a heavy, heavy crash. Regan Smith in that 78 car. Denny Hamlin involved, Mark Martin involved. And the safety workers there at Regan Smith's car. He had dropped the window net before the safety workers came up. His indication to them that he was okay.
See him getting out of the car. That's good to see. That's very similar to the way Jimmie Johnson hit last week at Charlotte. Actually, probably a little tougher.
And a wave to the fans in that backstretch grandstand.
Well, just once again, a testament to the safety of these vehicles now and the Hans device that you just see right there, Regan Smith taking it off. We just hate all day long. You run, you do the right things, you got yourself in a position, and then with less than 10 laps to go, all those hopes and dreams taken away from you.
See what happened here. Kind of ran into a roadblock. Gordon and Martin did.
Boy, he just about clipped Jeff Gordon too right there, Regan Smith did. You can see that. But it was like Mark got detached from the 24 of Jeff Gordon just a little bit. Denny Hamlin stuck his nose in there, but Mark came back down just enough to trigger that. You can see it got Jeff Gordon loose. That's what happened right there. He had to get out. Then Mark, as he tries to get back to Gordon, the 11 is there.
And another aspect of this racing, DJ, Joey Logano in that 20 can't see through Denny Hamlin's car, so even if Denny has lifted off the gas there, he's got no idea.
No. Wow, just look how close. I mean, he just skimmed the back bumper of Jeff Gordon's car. Marcus Ambrose coming by, gets a little bit of damage.
That's
See, once again, Matt Kenseth and David Reagan sneaking by one more time.
Third or fourth one today.
See this, when Mark hits that right rear, the angle that it sends Regan Smith into the wall is tremendous.
Yeah, and it looked like what happened was Jeff Gordon had to check up just a little bit. He was closing on Tony Stewart and 27 of Paul Menard a little too quickly. Mark got into Jeff, and that got him a little bit loose, and then that's when everything else happened from there.
Some pit stops here, including Carl Edwards, the championship leader, Dave.
Along with his teammate Greg Biffle, his drafting partner. Again, the same issue for them. They were in the back to avoid everything that just happened in front of them. But in doing so, they believe they ran through debris again. So they're going to change 4 tires each car. In Carl's case, he was told, and we're going to give you scuff tires with, quote, even more laps on them. That shouldn't be a big issue. The tire wear very good here. The only issue is that the glue on the lug nuts might not have been dry, and so it'll take him just a little bit longer to get that done. But he'll rejoin with Biffle, and I think they'll maybe push the button now, guys, to go to the front.
Well, and the question becomes, when they get all this debris cleaned up and we go back racing, we're not going to have many laps left in this race, and the time to make that charge is now. Is there an open lane to make that charge through, and what can they get out of it?
Well, that's the position they put themselves in now, is to be able to do that. That's going to be the key factor, is will they have anywhere to go as they try to make this charge?
Haven't been with us all day. Carl Edwards has ridden around in the back of the pack all day as the championship leader coming in. The closest driver to him in the championship starting today, Kevin Harvick, was involved in an incident back at lap 104, just past halfway in the race. He spent a little bit of time in the garage. Harvick is back in the race, but is 9 laps down in 34th place. So Carl standing to gain a chunk of ground in the championship on Harvick if he can get through these final laps cleanly. So Jeff Gordon, Doc, saw Mark Martin's car damaged in that last incident.
And they've been politicking for a drafting partner. Here's what's going on down here with the 24 car. They thought about the 14 there, which was, of course, Tony Stewart, but he's another chaser, so they really wouldn't be able to help each other. And they thought about the 13 right beside him, their Casey Mears car. But they don't have the 13 radio in the Gordon radio, so they can't hear each other. So then they went to the 21 car of Trevor Bayne and said, we need some help. And said, here's the deal, okay? You want to be able to keep the speed, you push us. So the deal was the 24 pushes the 21.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Those two worked really well together in Daytona.
Yeah, but I knew from earlier orders in the week that it wasn't going to be the 21 pushing the 24. That wasn't going to happen.
Stories going around the garage that Ford told its teams that they should work with Fords in this race and help particularly the Ford cars competing for the championship. The story going around, but then you get in the last laps of the race, and you're the one who's been behind the wheel of these things, DJ. Those kind of, I'll call it politics.
Yeah, you'd like to think that all of that kind of goes out the window. You sat out there and got yourself in a position where you know that things are going to happen throughout the day. So let's team up with who can give us the best opportunity to win now or get a good finish out of this. So why not take the best partner you can possibly find?
That's the way it's always been down here. It's everybody politics to run with a certain group. And sometimes it's not manufacturer working with manufacturer. Sometimes the best partner you can find has a different emblem on the hood.
So they're going to get the 1-to-go signal when they come to the start-finish line this time. Make mention that we do hope to get a word with both Bobby Labonte and Regan Smith involved in those last couple of incidents. As yet have been unable to, but we do hope to be able to do that before we leave the gate. See them making some repairs to the safer barrier over in turn number 2, where Smith hit a moment ago, replacing those foam pylons that absorb so much of the impact when the race cars hit.
Yeah, they collapsed just a little bit and did their job. Now they'll put some new ones in there.
And the field getting a signal in one more lap. We go back racing. So that's 4, so we're going to get the green flag with 3 laps to go in this race. 28 cars on the lead lap, and Jeff Burton, who hasn't won a race since October 2008, out in front.
Man, when we got that big lead that time, it would have taken 3 laps to get back to it. Yeah, we just got to be efficient as hell getting hooked up, and we'll be good. Is there any teammates behind us, Brett, that are going to be nose to tail? 14 and 27 and Red Bull, both of them will be nose to tail. I think you got to do what you did there. I think you got to let Jeff start on the bottom and do like just what we just did, because we got hooked up, kept our momentum up. For whatever reason, our eyeside's been good through 1 and 2 all day.
Well, as you can hear from that conversation between Jeff Burton and Clint Bowyer, how quickly they're able to get nose to tail in the draft without violating that start-finish line rule is going to be key to this. Half a lap on the restart. Let's go to Jamie Little.
And Bobby Labonte has been checked and released. A spin, and then you were drilled by the 22. I see your shoe is off. Is that the main area that's hurting right now?
Yeah, it was hurt a little bit there for a while. I don't get a picture of my feet. It's terrible, but yeah. And then fortunately, the helicopter went for me. Unfortunately, it was for a fan, so that was good. But good for me anyway. But yeah, just you know, it's just a product of it sometimes when you get late in the race and pushing real hard like that. So got turned around and you know, just I couldn't hold on to it at that point in time. So that was not what we wanted to see.
All right, bad day for Bobby Labonte, but good news looking forward. He did sign a deal. He will be back in the 47 with Todd Berrier as his crew chief, and he referenced a fan being airlifted. It was for a medical concern, we were told by NASCAR. Alan?
Jamie, thanks. Good to see Bobby's okay. Down to the final 3 laps at Talladega. Carl Edwards, the championship leader, is in 23rd position for this restart. Earnhardt Jr., 16th. Jimmy Johnson, 19th. Jeff Gordon, 8th. Up front, Burton and Bowyer with Vickers and Kane, Stewart and Menard getting set to go. They have waved off the restart because they still have some cleanup trucks on the racetrack, so that gives us an opportunity to check with Vince.
Well, Jeff Burton, as you said, Alan, is in front, except the man he's been working with, Clint Bowyer, is beside him to restart. Luke, what's the strategy here to get you guys teamed up again for this green-white checkered?
Well, the main thing is we just got to be careful here, not make any wrong move before we get to the line. They've got a plan for how they're going to line up, so get a good smooth restart here and get lined up, we'll be good.
I know you're inexperienced, quote-unquote, in this position. How helpless do you feel right now knowing that it's just been in the driver's hands all day long?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a helpless feeling, but we've got 2 really good guys out there working together. They've done an excellent job all day, so it's a good feeling.
Well, they sure have. They've done a great job, Alan.
Vince, thanks. Would be a big win for that young man. Be a big win for Jeff Burton if they can find a way to make it happen. Now, we heard from Doc earlier about Jeff Gordon and Trevor Bayne. Got chapter 2 on this, Doc?
Well, sort of. You know, the soap opera continues here. Remember Daytona back in February when Trevor Bayne was just trying to learn how to draft? During the qualifying race, Jeff Gordon said, stay with me, you push me, I'll show you how to do it and what we do. Well, Trevor Bayne remembered what Jeff Gordon has done for him. So now the 21 car is going to push the 24. And I think DJ said whoever the 21 pushes is going to win this race. Well, Jeff Gordon's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I have to give that credit. Thank you, Doc, but that's Andy. I will say that Andy has said that all week long, that whoever Trevor Bayne, and I'm glad to see them work this out because Jeff Gordon did help Trevor Bayne a lot, and he won the Daytona 500. They're lined up together, so let's hope that it works out for them. Jamie?
And Regan Smith just checked and released. How you feeling? That was a big hit, Regan.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't a fun hit, but you know, it's what we do with the restrictor plate tracks, and unfortunately you get caught up in other people's messes. I don't know what happened. I just know I turned right in a hurry with the Furniture Row car. It is what it is. I was hoping we were gonna have a good day. My partner Kurt Busch got wrecked earlier, and wasn't his fault either, but that's how it goes.
Hats off to Safety Innovation. We're going back green. Alan?
Jamie, thanks. Here they come for the final couple of laps at Talladega. Green flag is in the air. See how quickly 31 and 33 get hooked up after that line. Tony Stewart and Paul Menard not quite together in that outside lane. Look at Gordon and Trevor Bayne up through the middle.
Well, Jeff Gordon was on the gas, ready to go.
Matt Kenseth has been separated from David Reagan.
I think Matt's wanting to be able to help the 21 maybe right now. Leave Jeff Gordon hung out right here.
There it is. Goodbye 24. And the 56 and 00, Truex and Ruderman. Mentioned them earlier to keep an eye on them.
What a lead that Jeff Burton and Clint Bowyer have made right here. It'll be tough to run them down. Jeff Gordon just a roadblock right there.
What happened to Stewart and Menard on that restart? Michael Waltrip looking for a partner. White flag, down to the final lap. Can anybody run up and catch Burton and Bowyer? They've got some ground to make up if they're going to do it. Shuffling around in this pack.
8 of the last 12 races here have been decided on the last lap.
Dave Blaney first to break from the traffic with Brad Keselowski. Here come Brian Vickers and Casey Kane. Whole knot of cars behind them, but Jeff Burton is a half a lap to victory. This far clear of the pack. Does Bowyer pull out and try and win?
There's a chance that Bowyer might try to pull out and win when they get to the trial.
Here he goes. Here he goes. Does the pack have a chance to run him down?
Side over there, you and him. No pressure.
Side by side in contact. The pack is not going to catch him. They still got a shot. Clint Bowyer gets the win.
I don't know who won that. Good job, Clint.
Another frantic Talladega finish. We heard the radio conversation between Burton and Bowyer about how quickly they needed to get together to hold off the competition. They did it, others around them faltered, and then they raced for it between themselves.
That's exactly why Clint Bowyer wanted to get Jeff Burton out there so they could get far enough that he might could make a move to have a chance to win this race. That was passing at his perfection there.
Good job, guys. Good job.
But Dave Blaney coming home third in that Tommy Baldwin car.
Yep. Blaney with third. Stewart wound up 7th. Edwards 11th. Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr. 26th and 25th.
Michael Walker gets a top 10 finish.
Yep. And Clint Bowyer leaving this team at season's end. And a lot of the people working on this car, I'm sure, are wondering where it's all going. And they're in victory lane in Talladega. Goodyear winning moment today. Burning down a set of those Racing Eagles, celebrating another Talladega win. Tremendous effort by this team today, Jamie.
Shane Wilson, the crew chief, I talked to him this morning about things coming to an end in 4 more races. You said, we have no pressure. We can just go out and win. How sweet is this victory?
It's really good. I mean, this deal, we've worked hard, and we've been close here and there, and missed a chase this year, but this group is a good group, and it's a shame it's going to the end, but it's the way it is. And just proud of everybody today. Everybody at RCR, ECR had really good cars today, and just glad.
What can you say about that 31 team and Jeff Burton? Those two never lost each other.
No, we were good all day. Those guys did a great job. Did the tandem deal very good. Track position was worth a little bit, especially at the end, and I think it made us better for the end, running up there all day.
2 years in a row, they're victorious. Clint Bowyer back in victory lane, Vince.
Well, the best finish of the season for Jeff Burton, second, but I know that's not what you wanted. So close. Take us to the finish there, how it unfolded.
Well, I mean, it was, that's plate racing. I mean, we put ourselves in position to win the race, and Clint did a great job. I thought he made his move a little too early, and as it turned out, he did perfect. So, we had a great day, and part of it wants to cry, part of it wants to cheer. Anytime you leave here and you can, cars in one piece, you should be happy, but come that close after the year we've had is pretty disheartening.
What kind of encouragement does it give you, though?
Well, it's been a hard year. I mean, it really has, and I'm proud of everybody though for keeping their heads up, and everybody's continued to fight. And proud of Caterpillar and Chevrolet and SKF and everybody on this car. All these people on this car have been very committed to us, even though we've had a bad year, and I really appreciate that.
A pro's pro, Jeff Burton, second today, Alan.
Vince, thanks. And so the championship standings at the conclusion of today's race, after the troubles earlier in the race for people like Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch, after Carl Edwards only ran through to 11th at the finish, pointing at the flat tire there on the 33, burned it down in the burnout. And so here is what your championship picture looks like as we head on to Martinsville and the final 4 races.
Brad Keselowski still solidly in this.
Matt Kenseth, 14 positions on the racetrack behind Carl Edwards. Edwards ran around about 30th most of the day. He wound up finishing in the 11th spot, Doc.
He did. He hung in the back for a good bit of the day, and Carl, when it was over, an 11th place finish and the biggest lead in the chase thus far. Describe your day for us.
First of all, I gotta say Greg Biffle is amazing. He is just an unbelievable driver and best teammate a guy could hope for. Got to thank Subway for being on board. It's a big month. It's any Tober, any $5, any footlong, regular footlong is $5. And Aflac, Ford, Kellogg, Scott's, all the fans in Sprint. But this race is insane, you know. And that last dash to the finish, Greg and I had laid back, and we thought we'd, we wanted to get a forward to victory lane, but we just thought we'd do the best by being out of the wrecks. And man, he just does an unbelievable job. The communication was unreal. I just hope we can work together at these races from now on.
Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle, great teamwork, and the lead now 14 points. Alan?
Doc, thanks. Some fireworks in the final laps and some fireworks back in the garage area, too. Apparently, looks like the 78 transporter perhaps putting some...
I'm not sure it's not coming out of the
78
or the one.
Either way, safety officials on the scene back there in the garage area containing the situation. We're told it is the 78. Looks like the actual, see the tractor, the paint on the actual truck itself. Get a follow-up report on that. Talk about making a bad finish to a race even worse for that 78 team. The hard crash late in the going today. No hard luck for Clint Bowyer as we head down to Napa Victory Circle to talk with the Kansas Clint winner at Talladega.
Oh, that's got to be bittersweet. Richard Childress walking up, congratulating you, Clint. Second year in a row you're in victory lane here. How sweet is this victory, knowing there's 4 more races with these guys?
Yeah, I told him, this is Chevrolet's 100th anniversary. What an awesome paint scheme. So proud of the paint scheme. Then it was his 100th race that he's won in the Cup Series. So I told him, congratulations. I guess I'm going to reach his ass for the 101st. But just thank you to Cheerios, Hamburger Helper, everybody involved with this car. BB&T has been a long support of ours. It meant a lot to me to get all these guys back in victory lane before we cap off this season. So good day. Thank my teammate Jeff Burton. We just were really good together. We thought about it. We talked about it a lot before the race, and things really did play out just how we planned. We were really good on the restarts, getting together, getting bunched up before the other cars, and I think that's ultimately what won the race.
You guys never got separated from each other. One of the few tandems. Take us through the last lap. I know you guys had some funny commentary back and forth on the radio under caution.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty calm day, to be honest with you. It's just kind of methodical, and I wanted to stay up front. I told him we needed to stay up front, stay racing with these guys. That way, when the time comes, we've practiced, we're ready for it, and we can race, like the end of the race needs to be raced. But our restart, we got bunched up before everybody else. I was really, really worried about, especially the 14 to 27 were hooked up. The Red Bull cars were hooked up. I didn't think it was going to be like that, but sure glad it did. I wanted to, obviously I was trying to figure out where to pass him, and I was going to, I said, I'm at least going to give him a shot at it. I'm going to try it early, and it's going to be a drag race.
Well, after crashing in 2 of the first 3 restrictor plate tracks, Clint Bowyer wins here at Talladega. Alan?
And another last lap pass here at Talladega. 4th race in a row, 5 of the last 6 now. And Richard Childress Racing, 100th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series victory. You had a hand in a few of those there, Mr.
Yeah,
Petrie.
a few of them. I heard Clint say that he was going to race Richard to the next one, but hey, they might get it together. They still got 4 more.
Career best finish for Dave Blaney in 3rd today, Vince.
That's right, restarted 14th on that final restart. How'd you get up to 3rd there in the last couple of laps?
I don't know. I had that big blue 2 car pushing me. I can't thank Brad Keselowski and that whole team enough. They committed yesterday or Friday to just work together the whole day, and we kind of struggled at times figuring out what to do and how to do it and when to do it. But man, he could really push me well, and it turned out good. But man, happy for Golden Corral. Finally get to feed a lot of kids on Monday, and that's big. That's big for us.
Happy for that, and it's Dave Blaney's birthday tomorrow, so a little something extra to celebrate. Doc?
And Brad Keselowski restarted 15th and finished 4th. And Brad, how? 4th, exactly.
Finished third and fourth, Jerry.
Okay. And how wild were those final 9 laps?
Crazy, man. I told the guys in the spotter stand that Dave Blay and I had this. They could walk downstairs and grab a Miller Lite because there's nothing you can do for us once they drop the green on the green-white checkered. And my team, they gave me the car, and we just came down to teamwork with Dave at the end. Worked hard with him. And want to say thank you to Dave Blaney and his whole team. But all came together at the end, and this is exactly how we needed to leave Talladega with a strong finish. Gained points on the leader, gained points on really all the chase cars, and very proud of the effort, and proud to have had a good day, and feel very fortunate to have missed all the wrecks today. And I don't know, it must have something to do with the in memory of Dan on the back of the car. It was a great day for us, and I want to say a shout out to him and his family.
Carrying a memory of Dan Weldon on the back of this car, guys. Vince?
Brian Vickers, he and his teammate Casey Kane worked well together all day today, almost top 5, I think, all day long. You end up 5th. More fun or frightening today?
It's a long day. This racing is nerve-wracking. It takes about 2 hours to go to sleep after this. Your mind's just doing 100 miles an hour, but the Red Bull teams did a great job working together today. Casey and I both, whether he was in the lead or I was in the lead, we had to go the last, 4 or 5 times, but we always got back to the front. We just didn't have quite enough there at the end. We got together, and the guys got on our door, and the 33 and 31 got away, but they were strong all day. They were one of the only, them and the 42 and 1 were the only 2 groups I could see that could pass on the outside, and so that we knew they were going to be tough at the end.
Brian Vickers, strong today, 5th place. Dave?
Hey, Vince, just want to give everyone an update down here in the garage. I'm between the Brian Vickers hauler and the Regan Smith hauler. Everyone is okay. They were transferring the fuel from the dump cans they use on pit road actually into a reservoir in the back of the cab. That's where they store the extra fuel to go down the road so they can store the empty cans up in the top of the hauler. So everyone's all right, and there was just a quick fire. They got it all put out, and they'll go down the road a little battered in a lot of ways today, Alan.
Dave, thanks. Appreciate the update there. Glad everybody is okay. So Richard Childress Racing celebrating its 100th win, and quite the day here at Talladega today, Nicole.
Certainly quite a day for Clint Bowyer and his team, but also when you look at this championship picture, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson had a plan all day long, but they are among the 7 chase drivers to finish 25th or worse today.
Yeah, I was really surprised how late that Dale Jr. Jimmy Johnson tried to get to the front. The caution at the very end hurt him, and also Edwards and Biffle. They all had a plan to get to the front, get it on, but it didn't work out, Brad.
Yeah, Carl Edwards somehow came from the back, though, up towards the front, finishes 11th. Kevin Harvick takes a big shot in the points today, and there's old quiet Matt Kenseth. He snuck into second.
Congratulations to Clint Bowyer. On behalf of all of us here, have a great night.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.